fun to watch.
It's gone! Oh, wow! How about that? What a comeback! Okay! Deep into the night. What a catch!
If you're coming to the Great Northwest, this is the perfect time to arrive in the Emerald City. Here in Seattle, temperatures in the 80s. Yeah, it's warm, it's beautiful, and it's a perfect setting. There are Giant fans here, lots of them, and Mariner fans as well. MLB Live on Facebook Watch. Some day baseball in a crucial game for both of these teams, the Giants of San Francisco and the Mariners of Seattle. Hi everybody, I'm Rich Waltz and welcome to Seattle. The Seattle Mariners have not been to the postseason since 2001. It's the longest drought not only in baseball but in all of North America professional sports. They were riding high in June, huge lead in the wild card. That's down to a game and a half. The amazing Oakland Athletics are breathing down the necks of the Mariners. The San Francisco Giants, they know about the postseason, a lot of postseason, and 3 world championships since the 2010 season. This group of Giants and Bruce Bochy trying to prove that they are a postseason team, right now sitting above 500 by just 2 games. And that's the setting for our Facebook Watch, MLB Live. And a few things to remember if it's your first time on Facebook Watch, you can talk to us live and you can join either a Giants or a Mariners fan group. Now, if you don't like the comments on your screen, you can swipe right if it's a device like an iPad or a phone, if it's a laptop, or if it's a PC, you can press the quiet button and the discussion disappears. Joining me in the booth, a Giant for 7 years, an all-star, 2 postseasons with San Francisco, Shawn Estes, 13-year big league career, won 101 games, and he was the first-round pick of the Seattle Mariners. So that's a nice touch there. How about another lefty for the broadcast crew? Ryan Rowland-Smith, a 16-year pro, and in his major league career, a Mariner and a Diamondback, and the pride of Newcastle, Australia, an Aussie lefty, and part of the Mariner broadcast team, as is Shawn Estes with the Giants, and they join us now. Gentlemen, you left-handed pitchers, let's go to work. And let's talk first about the Giants. The middle of the Giants order, and offense has been a problem for the Giants. Middle of the order is struggling, Shawn, but last night, some of the youngsters at the bottom of the order had a big night in what was a thrilling Giants win.
Yeah, and every game is really important this time of the year leading into the trade deadline. When you have the middle of the lineup really struggling, you got to have contributions from other parts of the lineup. Well, you saw it, the 7, 8, 9 hitters last night went 5 for 11. You see Kelby Tomlinson right here stretching it triple. Most guys get a double there, but with his wheels, he was able to get the triple. Austin Slater staying up the middle of the field, getting a big hit. Then you're going to see a throw from Austin Slater in left field here. He's got an arm made for right field. The Mariners didn't realize that. They tested him, makes a big out at home, and then Steven Duggar gets the bloop single, his first of 2 hits last night. All 3 of these guys, Rich, ended up playing most of the year in AAA, so big contributions from them last night.
Now, if the Giants are going to get to the postseason, though, the middle of the order is going to have to snap back. Crawford was an all-star. Belt has struggled of late. Posey is struggling right now. Bruce Bochy told us earlier that as these guys go, so go the Giants.
Yeah, McCutchen's not on that board, but he's hitting .226 in his last 17 games. So, yeah, that's the heart of your order, and there's the guys that you lean on for runs. They're not hitting right now. We talked about the bottom of the order. We talked about the bench that's been good for the Giants this year. These guys have to get it going if they have a chance to win the National League West. I think they will. Posey got a cortisone shot. Belt had paternity leave. He's back. Crawford had a little bit of a hangover from the All-Star game. These guys will get back on track and return to form because they're going to have to win the West.
And importantly, the Giants got the win last night. Now, Ryan, we turn to the Mariners. It's late July. You usually don't scoreboard watch at this point, but last night, Oakland scored 11 unanswered runs to beat Texas. Seattle ended up losing the game. The lead's down to a game and a half. What's the state of mind here in Seattle?
Yeah, it's been a tough July. Look, there's been a lot of magical moments for this team, a lot of overachieving, and these teams and the Seattle Mariners crept up on a lot of people. But then July rolled around. and the offense got really flat. You're talking about guys like Segura, an all-star, hitting 240 in the month of July. Nelson Cruz with only 1 home run. The pitching staff, the rotation hasn't gotten quite deep into games like they had been doing. So it's the little things. They've been surviving on 1-run games. And then out of nowhere, of course, just like the rest of the Mariners' history, the Oakland A's come rolling in with that good mix of young, talented athletes with that good mix of veteran presence they have, and then they're on a roll right now. The same kind of roll the Mariners were on early, a lot of magic coming from the Bay Area from them. So all of a sudden, that wild card race gets a lot more interesting. They're only a game and a half back, Rich.
Well, look, I talked about mid-June, right? This was mid-June. Since mid-June, Oakland's gone 25-7, and the Mariners are just a game under 500. Oakland is a terrific story right now.
They really are, but when you look at the Mariners and watching them play today, look, these guys have got track records. Nelson Cruz is not going to be hitting 196 the rest of the year. Gene Segura has got that track record. He's not going to stay in a slump. So it's going to come down to offense. That pitching has been solid. You know, the trade deadline's coming up. It's going to be interesting to see, are they going to be buyers, are they going to be sellers in a week or so?
Well, when you talk about Seattle, one of the surprise and nice surprises has been the play of Mitch Haniger, an all-star and also our guest, Elise Woodward, 4th member of our broadcast team with Haniger right now.
All right, thanks, Rich. Yeah, Mitch Haniger, what a season he's put together. A breakthrough type of season for the third-year player and a first-time All-Star, career highs in games played, RBIs, and home runs. And he said being named an All-Star and going to Washington, D.C. and having that experience is only going to help him become a better player.
Yeah, I mean, the experience was awesome, especially being able to be there with a couple teammates and just, you know, getting to know all these guys around the league and seeing, you know, picking some of their brains and seeing what makes them great was cool, and something I'll never forget, and something I've worked a long time to accomplish.
You have career highs right now, 18 home runs, 67 ribbies in a breakout type of season for you. What do you think personally has led to this breakthrough?
Just trying to get better every day, hard work in the off season, and just years and years of work and preparation, and just, you know, this year especially, just being healthy, being able to stay in a groove and play every day.
You grew up in Mountain View, California, just in the shadow of the Giants. Were you a Giants fan growing up as you face them here today? What's that like?
Yeah, I was a Giants fan growing up, and then yeah, once I got drafted, it was like, you have to like who you play for, and, you know, no more Giants. But yeah, it's fun playing against these guys, and looking forward to beating them today. Would be a good one. Yeah,
you guys have been so clutch this season. 1-run games. You're one of the best in all of baseball. You lose one yesterday. I think the entire city of Seattle is holding their breath to see if you guys can push through to the playoffs for the first time since 2001. What about in that clubhouse? What's the energy like as you guys approach this stretch run?
Calm, cool, and collected, and just confident. I mean, for us, we're really loose. You know, we had a bad stretch coming into the All-Star break, and we come back, and, you know, we have basketball hoops set up in our clubhouse, and everyone's just having a good time and you know, happy and smiling and laughing. So that's been the key this year. Just we got off to a really good start, and everyone's been a lot looser, and you know, everyone's on the same page, just trying to win ball games and put the team first.
Well, good luck today. We appreciate your time, Mitch.
Thank you.
Yeah, calm, cool, collected, and confident. Add in happy, and yeah, I think that clubhouse sounds like they have at least mentally what it takes to put together a stretch run to break out of the postseason slump that the Seattle Mariner organization has been in since 2001, guys.
Elise, thank you. Yeah, this entire region, not just here in Seattle, but all over the Northwest, hopeful that Seattle can hold off the hard-charging Athletics. Guys, this wild card race seemingly is just 3 teams: Yankees, Mariners, and Athletics.
Yeah, and the AL West was, you know, built up with the Angels and the Mariners, you know, fighting for that spot, that second wild card spot. Out of nowhere, like you said, the Athletics have rolled in, so it's been crazy.
And Sean, in the National League, there seem to be a lot more teams involved, and these are just the top 5. You've got Pirates, you've got Giants, you've got Cardinals, right behind the Rockies in this.
Yeah, we don't even see the Giants on this list. That just shows you how much traffic's in front of them. And the Pirates won 11 in a row, so they're charging fast. If you're the Giants, you got to just focus on yourselves. You can't worry about all the guys in front of you. If you start playing better baseball, like they probably will, then you take care of your own business. And then when you have a shot at playing the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks, you got to beat them.
It's a great Ray Ratto column last week, and the title was "The Giants Just Got to Be Better at Being the Giants." And they'll try to get back to it. They certainly were last night, a 1-run win. Here's their starting lineup. Giants are at 52 and 50. Steven Duggar's in center field. Alan Hansen, the switch hitters at second base. Andrew McCutchen out in right. Brandon Belt, despite an 0 for 5 with 4 punch-outs, is in the lineup and he's hitting cleanup. Buster Posey gets the DH. He's in the 5 spot. Brandon Crawford gets the start at short. Here's the area of the lineup that really sparkled last night. And here's the area where you've got guys that have hit Mike Leake well. Pablo Sandoval especially, Hunter Pence especially, and then Nick Hundley is in the 9 spot. He'll do the catching for the Giants. Now, Mike Leake is familiar to both Giants fans and Mariner fans. This guy, not big, terrific mound presence.
Yeah, it really does. And we spoke to Scott Service before the game. He's one of those throwback pitchers. The guy throws 5 different pitches. He's going to mix that change up and cut fastball to lefties. That's going to be a big key for him with Brandon Belt, Brandon Crawford in this lineup.
Steven Duggar, Alan Hansen, Andrew McCutchen ready to go. Giants with a 9th inning win last night. Duggar takes a strike. He had a couple hits in the ball game. Scott Berry calling balls and strikes. Paul Nartz, Ramon De Jesus, Carlos Torres on the bases. The umpires for this afternoon game in Seattle. Good breaking ball there from Leake. Quickly, it's 0-2.
And this is going to be important for him, establishing the strike zone early. When he got on a roll in June, 2.57 ERA, the walks were way down. He's a strike thrower. It's important for him. First time to the lineup, he has struggled as well.
Softly on the ground, Healy is there and flipped to Leake in time. Defensively, Brian, take us through the Mariners defense.
Well, it's been a bit of a rotation out in left field and center with D. Gordon moving to second base. We've got Heredia at center, Mitch Haniger at right, D. Gordon back to second base, Ryan Healy at first, Kyle Seager at third base, Mike Zanina just fresh off the DL behind the plate, and Mike Leake starting this game.
Sean, Alan Hansen's been a really nice addition to this Giants team. Very versatile and has provided pop off the bench.
Yeah, big prospect with the Pirate organization. Giants picked him up for nothing. Minor league deal, went through minor leagues, got called up this year, first at bat, home run. He's got some sneaky pop as well, and sometimes he gets caught up in trying to hit home runs, but his game is speed, occasional home run, puts the ball in play, very high energy player. Been a huge addition to this Giants club.
A 1 pitch into right field, that's a base hit. And Hansen is aboard. Energy, I think, is the key word there, because that's what guys like Hansen and Duggar, guys like that are getting a chance to play in the big leagues, getting a chance, especially last night, that bottom of the order, Slater as well. That's something you need, that mix of youth and energy and obviously the veterans.
Yeah, and they didn't have that last year. They didn't have a lot of speed on the bases. They didn't hit for power. They were last in the major leagues in home runs, so they had to beat you with singles. They didn't hit a lot of extra base hits as well. So now you have guys with some speed that can steal a base, and Duggar and Hansen and Tomlinson when he plays, even McCutchen at times. Now you don't have to rely on 3 singles to get a score.
McCutchen 1 for 3 last night. Former Pirate in his first year in San Francisco has been hitting the ball hard and at times without great results. Still a 351 on base and is slugging at 415. Leake is not an easy guy to run against. Hansen's got 5 stolen bases. 1 of 4 are base stealers against Leake, and he's picked off 2 of them.
Yeah, with McCutchen, Rich, I mean, I think the expectations were a little bit higher, him coming in as a Giant this year. But like you mentioned, if you watch this guy play every day, he hits the ball hard and doesn't have a lot to show for it. And there's some stats that some of the sabermetric stats that you can see. If he continues to hit the ball hard, they're going to find their holes. He's going to start getting some hits.
His hard hit rate, which is the percentage of balls that he puts in play that's 95 miles an hour or more, is the highest it's ever been in his career. He is chasing less. His chase rate is down. That one's in center field. Yeah, it's Heredia to catch it. And McCutchen out number 2, and that brings up Brandon Belt.
Another good example of that right there. Mike Leake slipping on the count. McCutchen getting a good pitch to hit, hits it hard right at someone. But this is, again, going to be key for Mike Leake. establishing that fastball early, that sinker of his, getting ahead in the count, and getting to that slider against those righties.
Well, look, Brandon Belt has outstanding numbers. The 372 on base, is slugging the high 400s. But it's been a struggle of late. Belt is 1 for his last 29, 0 for 5 last night with 4 punch-outs. And you know, some managers would give him a day off, but with the All-Star break, and look, you know, he's had paternity leave, he had the All-Star break and all of that. Bruce Bochy has him in the lineup, and Belt drives it to right, down the line, deep in the corner, and just foul. Out, but foul.
Yeah, and that's Belt's nitro zone right there. That slider down and in. He likes the ball down, and he's a streaky hitter. That's been the knock on him in the past. This year he's been a lot more consistent, as you see right here. Just a couple feet foul. But consistency has always been the issue with him. This year he's been much more consistent. We're finally seeing the first time where he's had a prolonged streak of struggling. I expect him to snap out of it because he's in a good place mentally right now. He's got a good swing going, and as you saw right there, if you mess around down and in, he'll make you pay.
June wasn't great for him. July, as we've documented, especially the last couple weeks, have been somewhat of a struggle. And Bruce Bochy was quite candid before the game, saying, look, it's great to have the bottom of the order and the young kids produced last night, but we'll go as far as the middle of our lineup can take us. Hansen at first, and Leake misses off the corner. Mike Leake is not an overpowering guy. He's not big, 5'10". He doesn't light the gun up, but he is as crafty a pitcher as you'll find in the game. One. And you guys have seen him pitch throughout his career, whether it's been as a Red or a Mariner or as a Giant. What makes this guy tick?
Well, he works fast. That helps because the defense is always on their toes, ready to field. He throws strikes. He's got movement. When he's keeping the ball on the ground, when you see a lot of ground balls, that's when he's at his best. We talked to Scott Service before the game about him. What he does early in the game isn't always indicative of how he's going to pitch. You know, he's going to feel things through. He's going to make adjustments as the game goes on.
Belt kind of golfs that one into left, span on the move towards the line, and he has it. Giants get a single from Alan Hansen. Mike Leake pitches around that. We are underway on a glorious day here in Seattle with the ballpark filled with Mariner fans and a huge contingent of Giant fans here in the Northwest. Now we turn our attention to the Mariners lineup. Hitting second, and if you were to pick an MVP this year of the Mariners, it's probably Gene Segura. Ryan, what's been so special about him this year?
Yeah, well, Gene Segura, we're going to take a look at this slugging percentage versus the fastball. This is something that, you know, when you look at him from 2015 to 2017, that pitch on the inner half to Gene Segura, you could tie him up in there and get those weak ground balls. Different story this year, 2018. He's covering the whole plate. What I love about Gene Segura is how he has the ability to hit those borderline pitches, to hit pitches outside the strike zone. And, you know, talking to Edgar Martinez, talking about that bat path staying through the strike zone even longer. So with 2 strikes, he's still a threat. You really have to make that pitch, or he'll be able to keep that bat path through it. Even if he'll get that, he won't get his A swing off, he's still going to make hard contact somewhere, and he's spraying the ball all over the place.
And he's second in the lineup. G. Gordon leads it off. Gordon leads the American League in stolen bases. Gene Segura hitting second. Mitch Haniger, as you heard with Elise, big-time Giants fan growing up in San Jose. Nelson Cruz is the DH. Kyle Seager's at third base. Ryan Healy, who had a big weekend, 2 3-run homers to take down the White Sox in a game this weekend. Denard Spans in left. Mike Zunino is behind the plate. Guillermo Heredia, who homered last night, is in the 9 spot. And we turn our attention to Derek Holland. And Sean, Giants have needed help in the rotation with all the injuries, and Holland's kind of done a little bit of everything for him.
Yeah, I mean, he came into camp on a minor league deal. It was kind of an insurance policy. Then Bumgarner gets hurt. He pitches his way into the rotation, and he's been great. Started off, struggled a little bit, but since June, he's got a 2.89 ERA, and he moved over from the third base side of the rubber to the first base side of the rubber, and it's made a huge difference in his breaking ball. He throws a fastball anywhere from 90 to 94. He four seams it. He two seams it to both sides of the plate. He's got a curveball. He throws anywhere from 82 to 84, but he's got a slider and a changeup. But the curveball's been a big pitch for him since he's moved over to the first base side, getting a lot of strikeouts with it.
There's a little mystery with the starters in this one as D. Gordon, to be followed by Segura and Haniger, starts the bottom of the first. And the fact that Holland has thrown just 2 2/3 innings in the last 15 days because he was in the bullpen. He made a spot start on the 10th against the Cubs. And that was one of his best games of the year. 8 strikeouts, no walks, 6 1/3, 5 hits. Giants didn't score any runs that day, and he lost the ball game 2-0.
Yeah, I mean, he's been good. He's been good lately, and everybody thought maybe Derek Rodriguez would be the odd man out when Cueto came back, but it was Derek Holland who moved to the bullpen because it provides a little bit more.
And that one grazed Gordon, who jogs down to first.
Provides a little bit more versatility based on his fact he has pitched out of the bullpen. He's been really good since he's been in the bullpen, but he can also spot start. He can pitch back-to-back days. He's got a rubber arm.
Bruce Bochy looking on. And here is Segura, who many felt should have been the MVP of the All-Star game, with a 3-run homer and another base hit.
Never good, Ryan, to get that leadoff guy, especially to get off Gordon
Absolutely.
On first base.
And that's all part of it too. This 1-2 punch with D. Gordon and Gene Segura have been the igniters for this. This is a situation where you want to pitch to D. Gordon. He's not going to walk. He's not going to take his walks against you. No walks in the month of July. You're going to make him hit the ball, put it in play. But D. Gordon, just the distraction he creates over there. He's obviously an absolute burner running, but he can base run too, man. He can do things to put you out of your rhythm. And then this guy right behind him, Gene Segura.
Holland has picked off 2 this year. 5 stolen bases in 7 attempts. Remember, you got Hundley getting the start behind the plate. Stolen base leaders. Gordon atop the list in the American League. And if you go back to the start of last year, no one in all of baseball has more stolen bases, 17 and 18 combined, than Gordon.
Yeah, I talked to Nick Hundley before the game. I said, you know, what's your game plan today? He said, keep D. Gordon off the bases. So far, not working out.
He's running, got a good jump. Hundley's throw into the line and into center field. And Gordon dashes out from under his helmet and ends up at third base.
That's exactly what we're talking about. That disruption D. Gordon creates, not only with the pitch quality, but also rushing the throw from Nick Hundley. You can see it here and there. He's in a great position with the Mariners, who have been scuffling to get things going early. Stand at third base with nobody out, with Gene Segura in the box.
And really no chance for Nick Hundley. First move with the lefty pitching. You know, D. Gordon with his speed got a good jump. Probably should have just held it.
Infield's back, and Segura clubs one to left center. Hits it well. Duggar on the run. At the track, makes the catch. Gordon will tag and jog home, and Seattle has a 1-0 start.
And you have a run with no hits and a sacrifice fly and 2 batters into the game. That's what D. Gordon provides right there, is that kind of dynamic. Steven Duggar ran that down out center. The ball's going to jump a little bit today. A little bit warmer here in Seattle than as you're probably accustomed to, Ryan.
Yeah. It goes right back to Gene Segura, that ability to hit the fastball. Pitcher's pitch. That pitch was up and in, 93 miles per hour, handled it. Just didn't quite get all of it, get out.
Here now is Haniger, an all-star season and a breakout season. Product of Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. Guy who came up in the Diamondbacks organization, changed his swing, was involved in maybe Jerry DiPoto's best trade yet as the general manager of the Mariners. When you get your number 2 and number 3 here in the same trade. Now they gave up Taijuan Walker and Ketel Marte, who's a terrific young talent. Both Haniger and Segura coming from the Diamondbacks. Segura was the known quantity, right? An all-star. Everyone knew what they had, but Haniger has been the guy that's really opened eyes.
Yeah, and when the trade happened, it was all about Gene Segura getting this stud shortstop, an all-star with the Milwaukee Brewers coming over. Oh, and we've got this other guy with him too, Mitch Haniger. Hopefully he pans out. And the numbers he's put up, and like you mentioned, he talks about how he changed his swing. He's with the D-backs. He's in AA, AAA, hitting around 260. With not too much pop, and he said, you know what, I'm not going to survive in this game. I'm not going to get to the next level unless I go all out with that power stroke. And he did that, and all of a sudden, he's a guy now. And you can see, obviously, the finishing touch on that, his first All-Star game this year.
He said Barry Bonds was his guy growing up in San Jose.
He was everybody's guy.
Yes, he was.
He grew up in the Bay Area. Nice curveball right there. Derek Collins down and in.
Sean, take us through the defense for the Giants.
Well, from left to right, you got Hunter Pence left field, Stephen Duggar center field, Andrew McCutcheon playing right field today. From third to first, Pablo Sandoval, third base, Brandon Crawford playing shortstop, Alan Hansen at second base, and Brandon Belt playing first base. Pitching today, Derek Collins, and doing the catching, Nick Hundley.
Giants were one of the worst teams in baseball defensively the first 3 months of the season. But the last couple of months they've been terrific, and in July especially, 4 errors in July, that's it. They had made 60 in the first 3 months of the year. So big change defensively and bullpen for the Giants. Shift is on here for Nelson Cruz with 3 infielders over on the third base side, and Holland with a count at 1-1.
Nelson Cruz, that big presence in the middle of this lineup. He needs to get going too, hitting 194 in the month of July. You know that's not going to last, but it's amazing just when you have Mitch Haniger and then Nelson Cruz and then even Kyle Seager right behind him. It creates that situation where you cannot go after these guys in certain situations.
You saw those numbers, and it's worth throwing that up again since 2014. No one's hit more home runs since 2014 in this game than this guy. And a lot of that damage has been done in this ballpark, which is not, traditionally has not been a home run hitter's park. Cruz hits a sharp ground ball. Crawford is there to corral it and throw him out. But a little bit of Jersey, that's all it took on the fastball that clipped Gordon, a stolen base, a throwing error, and a sacrifice fly. Seattle has a 1-0 lead. As we head to the second, we head down to Elise Woodward. Elise?
Well, thanks, Rich. Fans in Major League Baseball have a treat. They can follow and interact with their stars on social media. How about the players themselves, though? It's really fun. Wait till you see the reaction of Justin Turner and Alex Wood when they found out during the All-Star break that Manny Machado was going to be coming to Hollywood. It's pretty fun stuff, guys.
It's done.
It's done?
Yeah, we got Manny, dude.
We got Manny? We got Manny!
Freaking got Manny, baby!
Let's go!
Stuck on the elevator. Oh, he's out. Look at Joe. He probably could have got out here with that. Look at that body right here. All right, we're gonna try this again. We're gonna try this again, but we're gonna try this with 5 people, not 15. I'm not a lawyer, but is this liability if it says it's out of order, but it's still moving? Oh, way back. Oh. Uh-oh. He's got it down, too. He's got it down now. Now he's going to watch these videos all the time.
Hey, we're locker mates.
Are we?
Yeah. We're heading to the second press conference of the farewell tour. I'm coming to this one in case they need a Spanish translator for Señor Chase.
The Chase Utley farewell tour, some fun stuff. I'm kind of partial, though, to Todd Frazier's little guy hitting bombs. Oh, my gosh. It looks like he's taken after his dad pretty good, guys.
Thank you, Alicia. And Adam Jones also documenting a elevator mishap along the way. Kike Hernandez, by the way, got a chance to pitch.
There you go.
Yeah.
Sean, did you get a farewell tour?
No, what's that?
Trust me, I didn't either. Let me tell you.
It would have been for like 5 teams, 6 teams.
Buster Posey rolls over on a breaking ball from Mike Leake. 1 pitch and 1 out. Here to start the second. If you're just joining us, Giants and Mariners. Giants last night came from behind, beat the Mariners 4-3. They did it on, of all things, a Pablo Sandoval infield single and a throwing error by D. Gordon. Stephen Duggar scored. Giants bullpen, as they have been in June and July, were terrific last night. That was a 4-3 win, and it dropped the Mariners' lead in the wild card to a game and a half behind the incredibly hot Oakland Athletics. And here's Crawford now, and he takes a strike. Oakland last night scored 11 unanswered runs. 11. They won their ball game 13-10 in Texas. Crawford 1 for 4 last night. That's a good sign. Hits that ball hard. Gordon knocks it down and gets the out at first. What was it that Scott Service told us? If the ball's on the ground, Mike Leake is going well.
Yeah, this is a great sign for Mike Leake. First time to the lineup. He's been his struggles this year. Opponents hitting 295. Once he settles in, he starts in that sinker, have that really good depth of that pitch and that changeup, cutter combination to lefties, and that ball's just going to get hammered into the ground all day.
This is the part of the order that's had success against Mike Leake. Crawford, a .348 career hitter. Sandoval is 11 of 20 with 3 homers. And Hunter Pence has a .441 average against him. Pence is on deck. Sandoval digging in his first at bat of the day. And the infield hit is only at bat last night. And he takes inside. It's 2-0.
Yeah, look at the numbers against Mike Leake in this Giant lineup. I figured he had no shot today. I mean, there's some pretty big numbers against him, like you mentioned. .441, .348, .550, .316, .333. So far, he's had his way with the Giants hitters.
Leake has fallen behind Sandoval at 3-0. Pablo, the renaissance of Pablo Sandoval has been fun to watch this year. After the injury-filled, ill-fated Boston run.
He's kind of been a breath of fresh air for this team. He provides that energy we talked about Hanson. He provides it more in the clubhouse.
Sandoval, soft liner to right. Haniger is there, and he makes the catch. That's 8 pitches from Mike Leake and a 1-2-3 second for the Giants. If you missed last night, here's a look and a listen to the Giants win.
Bottom of the third now. Heredia against Andy Suarez, Giants left-hander.
He gave this a really good ride. Traveling, going back, and that baby's gone! Home run, Guillermo Heredia, his 3rd of the year. It ties the ball game at 1-1. They started with James Paxton, couldn't go, stiff lower back, so the call went to Rowena Solis.
Well, Kelby Tomlinson stepping in that batter's box. There's a line drive into center field, base hit. Kelby Tomlinson with a stellar at-bat to knock in the go-ahead run. Just like that, the game is tied at 2.
That one is into left field, a base hit. Seager going to be waved home. Slater's throw, and the tag by Posey got him.
Scott Brocious really rolling the dice here from the third base coaching box. Hunter Pence leads off for the Giants, 6th inning. Chasen Bradford, a right-hander. There's a high drive to left. Forget about it. This one is headed to Canada. The Giants are back ahead, 3-2.
Well, we're going to have a pinch hitter, Ben Gamble.
Put it in play to left field. Coming on the left fielder. He is not going to get it. We got a tie ball game again. Ben Gamble off the bench.
9th inning, Edwin Diaz, an all-star closer. Pablo hitting for Chase Darno. Go-ahead run in scoring position with speed. Bounced softly towards second. Charging Gordon. Barehand play. Goes to first, and it kicks off the glove of Healy and rolls away. The Giants go ahead 4-3 on an infield hit by the Panda. Giants 1 out away from finishing off what would be a very impressive win. He swings at the first pitch and skies one to shallow right. And listen to Giants fans in Seattle.
Yeah, there were a lot of them here last night. On-demand highlight packages for every regular season game available on Facebook Watch, and weekly recaps for all 30 teams in Major League Baseball. Rich Waltz, Sean Estes, Ryan Rowland Smith. Elise Woodward is with us as well. Kyle Seager about to step in. Against Derek Holland, Seager, Ryan Healy, and Denard Span. Near the bottom of the second in the sun in Seattle. Good fastball there at 93 for a strike. Seager, one of the key Mariners who is slumping. We talked about the middle of the Giants order and their struggles. Seager, Haniger, Cruz, 3 bats that are right now not really popping, so to speak.
Yeah, and Kyle Seager's in the heart of that lineup. He's usually been a slow starter, taking a while to get going, but he's actually had a pretty good July. When you look at this team overall, they've struggled in July offensively. They're hitting 274 in the month of July, and he's hitting lefties extremely well. 30 RBIs against left-handed pitching, which is odd when you look at that left on left.
That actually is tied for the lead in the American League among all hitters, not just lefties. And he sees a lot of that, a lot of the shift. And Hansen in shallow right and well towards the line makes the play. And there's one out. Here comes Ryan Healy. Gentlemen, for you both, Ryan Healy's name, not only for his 2 3-run homers this weekend against the White Sox, was out there, but also for, hey, where is Robinson Cano going to play when he comes back? Ryan Healy has been manning first base, and in terms of power numbers, doing a nice job. He's 20 homers, knocked in 53. But that certainly is a possibility. Cano, of course, suspended for violating the performance-enhancing drug policy of Major League Baseball. Will be back in August. He cannot play in the postseason, but the Mariners are going to welcome that bat back, especially with some sputtering offense.
Yeah, and Ryan Healy is well aware of that. Talking to him, he talks about this is a chance for him to prove to them that they cannot take his bat out of this lineup. And big things, you mentioned the power numbers, but the on-base percentage he has struggled with this year. He's around the 270 mark on-base percentage. That's close to Major League Baseball's worst. So that's important for him. I think it comes down to getting in better hitting counts, having better at-bats, being a little bit more patient, letting the pitch come to him, trusting that he can hit with 2 strikes. Because when he's 1-0, 2-0, that's when his eyes light up and he gets that good A swing off. But when he gets to 2 strikes, that's where he's really been struggling, deeper in the count.
Well, he's 2 strikes right here. So
yeah.
Holland's
he's
got
him
2
really good sliders so far from Holland.
He had a good at-bat last night, coming back from 2 strikes down, drawing a walk, which is a great sign. Anytime that can happen once or twice, it can snowball a little bit, and you can trust the fact that I can get deeper in the count, similar to what Nelson Cruz has the ability to do, being a power hitter.
Cranks that one. Deep center. Duggar back. Gone. And ever since the Robinson Cano at first base talk has started, Ryan Healy has started to hit balls out of the ballpark. And it's 2-0 Seattle.
And I think the key to this home run was laying off that slide with the pitch before. And that's what Ryan Healy's really struggling with, the 1-2 slider he lays off. And he gets a good fastball. He crushes fastballs up in the strike zone. His eyes lit up, and that ball was crushed. Good to see Ryan Healy fighting for his job right now. Big power presence. Hit 25 last year. He's going to go well beyond that mark this year.
That's the spot that they wanted to stay away from right there, Ryan, is that fastball up in the zone.
Denard Span now.
But like you say, he did a good job of laying off the breaking balls after swinging at one early in the count. A 2-strike breaking ball below the zone, he was able to lay off of and got a pitch he can handle. But he's not missing that pitch right now. That's the thing. Sometimes hitters, when they're not going well, will pop that pitch up. Wasn't a terrible pitch, probably not where he wanted. They wanted to get it in a little bit more.
Span dumps this one down the left field line, and it's just foul. Hey, Sean, when we talked to Scott Service about Cano's return and where he would play, the word that jumped out to us was got to be creative. Creative was that word, in getting Cano his at-bats.
Everywhere, I think, is what he kind of said. Right? Anywhere he could get him in. You know, I mean, play some second a couple days, maybe go to first base. They don't know how he'll handle first base. Maybe play some outfield even. But he knows they have to have his bat in the lineup. It makes them a better club. It makes them a deeper club. I mean, obviously, the numbers speak for themselves with Robinson Cano.
I think the other part of that too is D. Gordon. How willing is he to go back to the outfield? We know how willing he was to come into second base, and you know, just by being around D. Gordon all year long, that you know what, the minute they ask him to make that transition, he'll do it in a heartbeat. So that's important too. And you know, Scott Service even talked about him playing some third base as well. But that bat in that lineup is going to be huge.
And he said he's not going to surprise anybody. He's going to tell people the day before, you know, this is where Robinson's playing tomorrow. You got a day off, so nobody comes in surprised they're not in the lineup that day. He is going to have to get creative.
Span has had a nice run here in Seattle. Jammed on a fastball. Belt collects it and gets the out. That's one of the questions. I mean, Seattle's record without Cano is much better. Here's a poll question in the Mariner fan group. Are the Mariners a better team without Robinson Cano? And I think, having watched the team struggle offensively, this is a sharp group of Mariner fans. Resounding no, 81%.
Yeah, I think they're ready for him to come back. 81% tells you that. But it's a situation too. You know, Robinson Cano, he has, you know, a great presence in that clubhouse, and this is a great clubhouse. When you're talking about team chemistry, you know, I know when you do have that, this is something that you can't put on the stat sheet. And Sean, I'm sure you know, playing in the playoffs, you've had that in the clubhouse. So it's going to be interesting. How receptive is he inside that clubhouse? I think that's the most important part of this whole thing when you're talking about moving guys from position to position.
Well, you mentioned the players were saying the right things. We want to get Cano back, and you know, he's a big bat for us, and he's a big part of our team. But you wonder if they really think that way, considering how well they're playing without him.
Well, I'll tell you this, the one thing that Seattle has that might help that transition is they have two guys in that clubhouse who have been through it themselves in D. Gordon and Nelson Cruz.
That's a good point. And kind of the leaders of that clubhouse.
Right. Here's a 1-2. Zunino takes in. 37-24 has been Seattle's record without Cano, but of course that's kind of, baseball's played in windows of time, and the window of time without him right now is not great. The Mariners have dropped 9 of their last 13.
I think on the other side of this too, when you look at their lineup, Mitch Haniger, for example, he's hitting 247 in the third slot. That's what Robinson Cano had been filling up before going on the DL, before having the suspension. Mitch Haniger's hitting 300 in that 6 hole as well. So I think it adds that extra element, not only depth, but guys getting a little bit more comfortable. Some of these younger guys hitting in different slots.
Sandoval knocks it down, picks it up, and spins around and throws out Mike Zunino. And Seattle adds a run. Ryan Healy got a high fastball and lost it to left center. The Mariners have played little ball for a run and long ball for another. Giants come to the plate here in the third inning. One of the biggest roadblocks for the Giants in terms of this postseason wild card race and a successful season has been health and injuries. Guys, the list for the Giants and the number of games they've lost and the caliber of player they've lost is long. Let's take a look and a listen.
Really a tough situation for the Giants from a medical standpoint to lose the guys that they have to begin this year. That's Bumgarner on the DL, Johnny Cueto, Jeff Samardzija. That's tough. You lose those 3 guys, you're in a tough spot for Bruce Bochy.
And the youngsters that have to come up and fill those shoes. I mean, really? That's tough to do. I mean, injuries are just part of the game, and it's just the way it is. And every team has had injuries, substantial injuries. If you don't have depth in your organization, you're not going to have a good season. It's that simple. Depth, that is the key word. Something Giants have this year. It's something they did not have last year.
One thing is for sure, when they're healthy, Bruce Bochy is going to have some difficult decisions to make.
This division is going to be a very good dogfight. Giants will be in the mix.
I think the Giants have a run left in them too, and I'm cautiously optimistic about the Giants.
Sean, the Giants are getting healthier. Bruce Bochy is still waiting on Joe Panik, Jeff Samardzija. Hopefully Hunter Strickland will be back. But Melancon, Bumgarner, Pence, Cueto, Longoria have all missed an enormous amount of time. Longoria should be back this weekend. Panik's probably 7 to 10 days away as well. The pitching rotation and bullpen have stabilized. I guess the question is, will Panik's return and the health of Longoria, can that help jumpstart the offense?
Yeah, it can. Absolutely can. I mean, you're talking about 2 bats. And Longoria proven over time. he's due to get hot at some point. He struggled before he got hit. He's still driving runs in. Joe Panik from the left side of the plate plays solid second base. I mean, they make the team better, absolutely. And you talk about making trades. Well, they really don't have to, because they're going to get healthy, and those are pretty big trades. They're not going to be able to go out and improve their team any more than those guys will by coming back healthy. Hunter Strickland, another guy who was their closer before he broke his hand, he'll be back in the next month.
Pence, who homered last night, pop up towards Seattle's dugout. Healy is there, and it's just over the rail and out of reach. Hugs for everybody. Healy appreciates the help.
What the Giants have realized with all these guys being hurt is they do have more depth than they thought that they had. See right here, got to get out of the way, don't you? You're in the dugout. Give him a chance right there. He'll drop down a step or two, maybe catch him if he dives in there.
Pence home run was his first since last year, September of last year. And you saw that home run earlier in the telecasts to deep left field off the facing of the second deck. And he has hit Leake well in his career.
Yeah, it's amazing to say that Hunter Pence had his first home run of the season when we're sitting here at the end of July. This is the guy who would hit 20 to 30 every year.
Little tapper, Leake, terrific athlete, has it and throws him out. Not only just injury troubles, but the caliber of player and the length of the loss. Bumgarner 60, Cueto 68, Panik 43 and counting. Same with Strickland. Samardzija's not back yet. Longoria got hit by a pitch on his rehab assignment, and they're hopeful that he's back for the weekend series against the Brewers in San Francisco.
You look at that too. That's your entire starting rotation. Some big names in the mix of that, and that's why those transactions, that minor league free agent they pick up in January, is so important. Having that depth. The Mariners got bit with that injury bug last year, and it just came down to how much depth could they have.
I got two left-handed pitchers in the booth, and we're just watching Mike Leake so far. If there's a crafty right-hander, he might be the guy. Crafty is only used for lefties, you guys know that, but Leake is just that. 27 pitches in, and he's got 2 outs here in the third.
Well, he looked up to a guy that was pretty crafty in Bronson Arroyo, came up underneath him and pitches a lot like him, just by changing speeds. Doesn't have the overpowering fastball, but is able to throw 4 different pitches anytime in the count and hit spots with some movement. So yeah, you can be effective at the big league level even if you don't have power stuff.
Stephen Duggar's in the leadoff spot for the Giants.
From the right side, that is. Typically it's a lefty that has to be crafty.
Yeah, and the Mariners have a couple of these guys in their rotation. Michael Gonzalez, Wade LeBlanc just signed an extension. These are not overpowering guys in the age of velocity too. When you see a guy upper 80s like this, and there's a couple of them in that rotation, it's refreshing.
Another ground ball.
30 pitches, 9 outs. And right now, Mike Leake is shutting out San Francisco. 2-0 Seattle as we head to the bottom of the third.
The league's making it look pretty easy right now.
Yeah, and that's a good sign too. When he gets in that rhythm like he has right now, and you see that good depth on that sinker, everything comes off that pitch, it's a really good sign, because once he gets in a rhythm, that's where he's had his best games this year, 2018.
All right, you guys are 2 former Major League pitchers. This is the time of year where the trade deadline is coming up. So I want to know, where do you go for your trade news, social media-wise? Are you on Twitter? Are you on Facebook? What are you looking for in terms of trades? Where do you find it?
Well, I got to admit, I remember MLB Trade Rumors was the one website. If you were looking at that, and then someone spotted you looking at that when you're in the minor leagues, hey, get off that, man. Like, you'd cop it. I still check that website ever since I was about 23 years old, looking at that website. I think it's great. It's consistent. It's pretty accurate. And then social media, all over social media. You cannot miss the rumors all over social media these days.
Just listen to Buster Olney. He'll tell you what's going on. He knows them all.
All right, so look, in this next week, here are some of the names that might be on the move. And I think both of these teams, especially Seattle, could use a starting pitcher. Cole Hamill seems to be at the top of a lot of wish lists. Jay Happ, Zach Wheeler, Chris Archer as well. And obviously there are guys that will be traded that you're not really thinking of. There are surprises as you.
Matt Harvey's another name that comes up. Evaldi, who just was traded, was a big name. He's on the Red Sox now, so cross him off that list. But
all right, here's some position players. Asdrubal Cabrera, a Met. Brian Dozier, a Twin. Escobar's had an outstanding season. A couple of Royals on the list as well. So, look, let's do this. Sean, we'll start with you. Giants, what's Brian Sabian, and Bobby Evans, what's on their wish list?
probably a left fielder, but that's not going to happen. Maybe a little bit more depth in the rotation. That probably won't happen either. I firmly believe they'll stand pat. This is going to be the team they're going to roll out and they're going to try to win with.
Giants are only 4 out of the wild card right now, but with a lot of company, as we showed you. Heredia lifts it into the seats. Ryan, what about Seattle? I mentioned starting pitcher, especially with James Paxton being scratched and still on the disabled list.
Yeah, for the last couple months, Rich, I've been campaigning for that rotation depth. I think it's so important, especially too once you get to the playoffs, having that guy at game 1, game 2, and game 3. Who are you going to match up with? That's so important. If you get to that wild card game, that one game, and you're playing against the Boston Red Sox, you're up against Chris Sale. Who's that guy going to be? I think even more so now with James Paxton going on the DL.
Heredia, we talked about Robinson Cano. He's been the guy that's filled that void at times in center field with Gordon moving to second. And he homered last night. And Holland comes up and in. How much of the deal making is in reaction to other teams in the division or in the race? Guys that make a deal. I mean, the Dodgers, obviously, with Machado, that's big. The A's adding a great bullpen arm in Juris Familia.
Yeah, the A's are short in the rotation as well. And so if you react to what the A's do, you may miss out on a guy you could have had. So you need to be proactive in that. And I believe whoever gets that starting pitcher, that impact starting pitcher between the Mariners and the A's, because I think one of them will do it, will have the advantage moving forward for sure.
Yeah, and you have those conversations. We had Jerry DeProto on the pregame show a couple days ago, and he talks about a lot of marginal moves, bullpen help, and getting away from even discussing starting pitching. That's going to be a lot of competition when you're looking at some of those names that flashed up on the screen. There's a lot of competition for those guys, but I still firmly believe that this is a year for the Seattle Mariners. You know what? When you're looking at their minor league system, and everyone's like, are they going to mortgage the future to go after this year? I really think they have to, because the minor league system, it's not one of the best in the game. This is a situation where they can put some pieces together and go out and get that help in the rotation.
D. Gordon hit by a pitch. Well, it's not completely accurate. He was grazed, his jersey was, on an inside fastball to lead off the bottom of the first. He promptly stole second. Nick Hundley's throw went to center. Gordon continued on to third, and then Gene Segura with a deep fly ball scored him for the first run. Gordon lifts it foul and into the seats, and Holland's out in front 0-2.
They're calling way ahead here, and because he did hit him in the last at bat, you wonder if he'll go back in. You don't want to put him back on first base, but if you stay out over the plate, D. Gordon can hurt you as well.
Into center field, Gordon's aboard again, and this sets up another showdown between Holland and Gordon, who stole second base easily. He had a great jump back in the first.
This is a great sign for the Mariners. D. Gordon seeing the ball really well. He spent the offseason working out with Ichiro. Talking about playing small ball too. Bunt for a base hit his first game back from the All-Star break, but he's having a really good July. It's so important for D. Gordon to get going again. You can see in April, and this team came out offensively. They're one of the best teams. D. Gordon was a huge part of that.
Okay, 2 lefty pitchers in the booth. Lefty on the mound. How do you keep D. Gordon close enough at first to give Hundley a chance to throw him out?
You got a slide step, which takes away your effectiveness of making a quality pitch consistently, yet you have to do it. As you see Holland doing the slide step, because as soon as you pick up that leg, there's a chance if he's going first move where you have no shot at throwing him out at second base, as we saw in the first inning.
I think too, changing your looks, changing your times is so important. We talked about D. Gordon, how good he is reading pitches, his instincts. I think it's important. Even that chin too. When you
he's running.
It's a balk. And Gordon's going to get second. Holland's upset. The first base umpire, Paul Nart, is pointing in towards the home plate umpire, Scott Barry. And Holland right now has got to be careful. The Giants can ill afford having him tossed and have to get into the bullpen at this stage in the game. Bruce Bochy is halfway out. It's much like balls and strikes. You can't necessarily come out and argue a balk with a whole lot of depth.
It's a tough call too. It's Derek Holland frustrated because he knows he got one of the best base stealers out with that move.
All right, what do you guys see in that move that made it a balk? Was it the angle of the knee?
The angle's tough there because you can't see where he stepped, but you have the imaginary 45 that the umpires look at, and they obviously thought that he went home or he crossed that line where his foot landed.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
It's very close. Typically, you won't see that called.
I'm guessing too the first base umpire says he motioned towards home, and he crossed that 45 degree. But that was a really good move. Just after we were talking about holding D. Gordon on, he had him picked.
He did. That's very frustrating for a pitcher right there. When you feel like you have a good move, you get your guy.
Segura clubs one into center. Duggar makes the catch. This could be a little bit of a difficult sun field on these afternoon games here in Seattle.
It's important for Derek Holland in this situation. He's frustrated about the ball called on him. This is where if you anchor on that one situation, your heart rate's up, you lose the quality of the pitch. You can see that slider hanging up in the strike zone. He's about to reach the heart of the lineup. He's got 2 outs. This is a situation where you have to let go of what happened, D. Gordon on second base, and really hone in because you've got Mitch Haniger and Nelson Cruz who can do some damage.
Yeah, and the way Mike Leake's throwing the ball right now, you know, runs may come at a premium. So you may think 3 runs right here might be too many. This is where you got to really make that pitch with the runner in scoring position and 2 outs.
Fastball in to Mitch Haniger. Haniger struck out back in the first. That manufactured run without a hit in the first got Seattle on the board. Ryan Healy homered in the second. And now Seattle threatening with great speed at second with D. Gordon.
I think that's one advantage too with Derek Holland. He's gone back and forth, been in the bullpen, been starting. So he has that bullpen track record where he's had success, where he comes in big situation, the heart rate's up. I think it really helps guys like him. He's an animated character. Help him in big situations, even though it's only the 3rd inning of the game.
Haniger gets a look at a 2-0 pitch. Well,
this is a situation right here, Rich, where you got the base open, but then you look on deck and you see Nelson Cruz. It's like, who do I want to mess with? Well, you got one of the best hitters in the game right now in Haniger. Good RBI guy. You don't really want to steal. You don't give in right here. You still try to make pitches, and then you got a clean count against Nelson Cruz if you happen to walk Haniger.
Gordon, a huge jump, running. Haniger goes after the 3-0, lifts it into the corner. McCutchen, you could see the sun glaring off his glasses, and he'll make the catch. And so Haniger took a rip at the 3-0. Gordon had the bag stolen easily, and the Giants get that out, and Holland escapes the 3rd without any damage. Well, the Seattle Mariners come in here at 60-41. They are dynamite in 1-run games. 26-13. They don't have a great run differential, so a lot of the folks that follow run differential, 1-run games, and what they might be in the next couple of months kind of scratch their head at the Mariners, but they've done a terrific job, and their manager joins us now, Scott Service. Skip, I heard you this week talking about the key to winning 1-run games. You mentioned bullpen, but you also mentioned the word energy, and your ball club really seems to have that this year.
Well, we do. You know, we've got a lot of different ways to score runs. It's been a kind of a crazy season. We've played so many close games, and certainly, you know, through the months of June, we were really rolling in those games. Last night's game got away from us a little bit in the 9th inning, but you know, we do have energy. The guys bring it every day, and it's been a fun season so far.
Scott, what do you think has been the difference? July, obviously, the offense has cooled off a little bit. What have been the little things that have been the difference when you're talking about the offense, the first part of the season, the first couple months compared to July?
Well, it has cooled off some, and that's going to happen. You know, the ebbs and flows of a season. You guys are going to get hot. They're going to cool a little bit. we've had a stretch here, leading into the All-Star break and coming out of it. The middle of our lineup really hasn't gotten going. But, these guys have proven track record. They certainly have been hot at certain points earlier in the season, and we need to get them going again. That's just, how we're built, like most teams are. You need your guys in the middle to produce.
Scott, what are you seeing of Mike Leake so far today? He's been pretty efficient with 30 pitches through 3.
He has. Mike's got a good sinker going today. He's mixing some cutters along with it to keep the guys off balance. But, Mike's got different ways to get you out, and he's not going to really attack the same way to the hitters here the second time through the lineup. You'll see him, go to some different things. But love having him out there. He works quick. Obviously, you've seen he's a very good fielder on the mound as well. So hopefully he can get us deeper in the ballgame.
Skip, last question. We've been talking trade deadline. Now, you and Jerry DiPoto have a great relationship. Have you developed some sort of shopping list or a wish list?
Let Jerry do all the shopping. My job's to take the groceries and put the recipe together. So hopefully, we'll come up with something, but, he's doing the shopping.
Very well handled there.
Okay.
All right, thanks for the visit.
Sounds good, guys.
All right, good luck the rest of the way. It's got service. There is Jerry DiPoto.
I like that.
Both he and Scott Service got contract extensions over the last week from management here in Seattle as Leake misses inside to Alan Hansen. Hansen single back in the first, and so far he's been the only Giant base runner. Leake has fed his infield a steady diet of ground balls. He's got 6 ground ball outs so far.
You mentioned Jerry DiPoto doing the shopping, bringing it back. He does the cooking. I like that analogy.
Hansen to right and in the corner. Haniger long run, and he's there and makes the catch.
Jerry DiPoto doing a lot of shopping since coming over to the Seattle Mariners, but being quiet a little bit. So it's going to be interesting. This is going to be, I'm hoping this is going to be a year where it starts to warm up here in the next week.
See right there, just off the end of the bat, changing speeds right there with the curveball. Down and in. I mean, he's probably, if you asked hitters about Mike Leake, he's a pretty comfortable out. They probably see the ball pretty good against him, but like we talked about, he's got so many different movements on the baseball, it's tough to square him up.
He's one of the most unique pitchers in the game in terms of his path to the big leagues. First round pick by the Reds out of Arizona State. He made 5 starts in the Arizona Fall League, which is not the minor leagues, it's more of a winter league. And then went straight to the Reds rotation. He's played a total of 2 career games in the minor leagues. In this day and age, that doesn't happen at all.
Well, it just shows you his feel for pitching coming out of college. He had it already, and he carried it right over into the big leagues. Now his fastball was a little bit better, when he first got called up to the big leagues. He's lost a little bit of velocity, but in the process, he's learned how to pitch with other stuff. That cutter, especially.
McCutchen lined to center his first time up, and a chopper. Segura has to wait for a hop and throws him out. And there's 2 outs.
You gotta love playing behind him if you're a defender, right?
Yeah.
Guy that works fast, he throws strikes. The ball can be put in play on any pitch. You got to be on your toes. I mean, it makes you a better defender when you have a guy on the mound like Mike Leake working the way he does.
Yeah, and sometimes with Mike Leake too, we've seen a couple struggles this year where he speeds up a little bit too much, where he's rushing a little bit. That sinker starts to flatten out, and that's a time where he can take that walk around the mound and take his time a little bit, get that feel back, get that arm slot back to being good, getting to 2 strikes, and then expanding the zone with that slider of his. But big thing for him is that tempo, and you can see it already. 4th inning, 39 pitches in.
Brandon Belt, center field. Ballpark should hold it. Heredia fighting the sun is there, and he makes a catch. He's got a dozen outs on 42 pitches. Mike Leake is rolling right now. He's through 4 as we head to the bottom of the 4th inning.
Maddox-esque right here.
Yeah.
He's been part of the San Francisco Giants staff for some time as a hitting coach, and now this year as a bench coach. Hensley Bam Bam Mullins, and many people feel will be managing in the big leagues soon. He certainly deserves a shot with his work here in San Francisco and his work with the Netherlands in the World Baseball Classic, twice taking that group
to the finals of the World Baseball Classic 2013 and 2017. And he joins us now. Hensley, how are you?
Doing great. Nice to have me on, and great to talk to you guys.
Okay, you've been next to Bruce Bochy for a long time through a lot of great wins, world championships, and now as the bench coach and many people feel a future manager. What are the things that you've learned from him that have made you better or will make you a good manager?
Well, as a hitting coach, you're always worried about the hitters, and then, now it's a lot different. You learn how to manage the game, prepare according to our scouting reports from our scouts, the team you're playing, what are the tendencies of the manager, of the base stealers, the bunners, the guys that hit and run, how to run the pitching staff. So all of that is new to me, and he's done a great job helping me out to learn this as quickly as I can.
Hensley, you've had a lot of young players come up and take up some big spots. How important is it to develop that relationship and talk about your philosophy, with young hitters and just developing what's so important to make sure you're on the same page?
Yeah, right. So, obviously it's a little different being in the major leagues. You start facing pitchers you've never seen, so there is always a plan of attack, and it's important for these young guys to get up here and get with the hitting guys and learn the plan of attack depending on who you're facing each day, and also guys coming out of the bullpen. So it's very, very important to have a plan when you go to the plate, so you're not not aware of what's coming, and also give you a better opportunity to have success.
Nelson Cruz to left.
I thought he got
Pence
that
is there to make the catch.
Looked better off the bat than it did. Bam Bam, Sean Estes here. Hey, I'm gonna put you on the spot real quick. How close were you to getting that Yankee job this offseason?
I'm not sure. All I know that I was one of 6 or 7 guys I interviewed. There was word out there that I was in the final 2. I was not told that, but obviously I didn't get it, and I'm here. I'm happy to be here. I'm a Giant. Doing everything possible to help Boch win games over here, but some other time I'll get another opportunity, but I'm not sure how close I was to that.
Hensley, last question for you. What's the biggest ingredient you guys need to get this going and take a bite out of the wild card race?
Well, it's all right here. You see the talent on the field. You see Buster, you see Belt, you see Crawford, you see McCutcheon. You see Pablo out there, you see Pence, we're missing Panic and Longoria, and the pitching staff is there. The guys in the bullpen are doing a great job. We have a young new center fielder in Duggar. It's all on the field. We just gotta get hot together and stay consistent throughout the rest of the year to make a push for the postseason.
Hensley, thanks for your time. Certainly good luck today and in the Milwaukee series in San Francisco this weekend.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me on.
All right, Hensley Mullins, terrific manager on the international scene and the bench coach for the Giants here this year. Kyle Seager bounces out. There's 2 outs. Here's Ryan Healy. He left the yard, and this is the sequence back in the second.
Yeah, well, that was the end sequence. Yeah, that was the end result.
That was a result right there. But the sequence is what was important to us with Ryan Healy. We talked about laying off that slider, being more comfortable deeper in the strike zone, especially with 2 strikes. Here's a guy who does a ton of damage early, 1-0, 2-0 counts. But I think for him to take that next step, to get that on-base percentage up, laying off those borderline pitches and those pitches down outside the strike zone.
See, sometimes even in the booth you get a bad hop, but Sean Estes fielding that hop expertly, knocked it down, threw to first, and got the out.
Yeah, you'll see Derek Collin be a lot more careful. He'll stay away from that middle in fastball up. If he goes in, it'll be off the plate in.
He got in enough there, and it's fouled back, and it counts 0-2.
Yeah, as you can see, that was up and in off the plate.
And that's exactly where that 2-strike pitch was supposed to be last at bat. Just couldn't quite get it up and in. That's what Derek Collin has done such a good job. He's a high percentage of fastballs throughout his career. Even when he had those really good numbers, 2012, 2013, a lot of fastballs even later in the count. And he elevates. He does a really good job with that, and that slider, especially to both righties and lefties.
Healy takes down low. Healy is just 26. University of Oregon Last year with Oakland was his first full season in the big leagues. Top 25 homers.
Yeah, Ron, you talk about him elevating a fastball. If he elevates with Healy, he's got to go above the strike zone. Like we're talking letter high, because belt high is where he likes that pitch. But what that does is it changes the eye level of the hitter, and it makes that breaking ball much more effective. Most of the time, if you climb the ladder, as they say, you don't get, and he doesn't offer, you can come back with the breaking ball, and it can be a strike at times because the hitter may give up on it, or you can throw it over the middle part of the plate and bounce it and get a guy to swing over the top of it. But if you consistently just throw breaking balls in the same spot, hitters recognize that, they see spin, and then they can lay off it much easier.
Drives that one into center field. He's got his second hit, a 2-out single. All right, here's the sequence on the home run by Ryan Healy.
Yeah, we talked about him later on in strike in counts. You can see him missing down and away. There's a good slider right there, able to lay off that pitch, and that's a good one. Then he tried to bury this, and that's the pitch that set up this fastball middle upper part of the strike zone where Ryan Healy loves that ball to be. Eyes light up. He crushed it.
And you saw the 3 breaking balls, all 3 the same spot, right? And so he could recognize that and lay off the third one. Whereas if you climb the ladder earlier on in the count and then you throw the breaking ball, it makes it much more effective.
Plus, too, second at bat, he's seen about 6 or 7 already. Ryan Healy from Derek Holland. You see that breaking ball hit even out to center field. Pitch is still up in the strike zone, still a good pitch, but able to serve that ball, not trying to do too much in the center field. He's got 2 hits.
Denard Span here with 2 outs and Healy at first.
Well, the book on home plate umpire Scott Barry's, he's got a pretty tight zone, and we saw right there he might have missed one. That ball was a 0-0 pitch, looked like it caught the outside corner to Span.
Span, since coming over from the Rays, has been right around 300 as a Mariner. And Holland misses up with a fastball. He's fallen behind 3-0. He hasn't walked anybody. Remember, he did. That's quite the red beard. He did hit Gordon in the first, and it cost him.
Well, it probably should be an orange beard, right? If he's a Giant fan, I'm hoping that's orange. Might have messed up on the.
In my monitor, I may need to adjust.
Unless he got the wrong.
It does look pretty red, doesn't it?
It does. I think he got the wrong color dye when he went wherever he went and got that dye. That's why he looks pretty bitter about that too. That's a bit of orange in there.
You sure that's dyed?
Definitely not Mariner blue. Put it that way.
Strike to Span, 3-2. Last night, it was impressive to hear the number of Giant fans that were here last night. It felt like half the ballpark. It was a great crowd, 40,000. There was a ton of Giant fans that live in this area here in Seattle and in the Northwest, and they have congregated here for these 2 games. Span swings and misses at the 3-2. And Derek Holland's gone 4 innings. He's given up a couple runs on just 3 hits. Second half of Major League Baseball after the All-Star break. Pennant races, wild card races are sharpening up. We go back to the first half. Look and a listen at some of the best defensive plays in that first half.
Out to center field. Odubel going back toward the fence. He jumps and he got it! How about he pulled it right out of the bushes. Herrera reels one in.
That one to right field. Haniger's got a chance at this one. Stays in. Enough, yes, and Haniger into the stands. What a play by Haniger.
High fly ball, that's well hit. Jackie Bradley racing back to the triangle, still backing up, leaps up. Oh my goodness! What a catch!
Fly ball center field, well hit. Zimmer a long run. Oh, what a catch by Zimmer! Unbelievable!
goes deep left center. Pilar back, and he made the catch.
Fly ball deep center. Back is Broxton. He lifts. Oh my goodness! He's done it again. Keon Broxton pulls another home run back.
And Carpenter lifts a high fly ball into center. Hamilton backing up at the wall. Oh, he caught it! A remarkable catch by Billy Hamilton in center field.
Billy Hamilton is not human in center field, red center field.
No, he can go get it.
He's he's fast as the flash, very acrobatic. If you have a question for Ryan Rowland-Smith, he is now in the social media booth chatting with fans here on Facebook Watch. So Ryan Rowland-Smith is in there. Any questions about the Mariners or the American League or life in Australia if you want to go that far? Buster Posey fouls it back. Sean Estes will get his turn in the chatting booth coming up. Right now the Giants looking for runs. Buster Posey, Brandon Crawford, Pablo Sandoval against Mike Leake, who has an economy of pitches 43. He's already in the top of the fifth. Posey pulls one foul.
And that's what we're seeing today so far, Rich, is a lot of weak contact, some off-balance swings from these Giant hitters, but Mike Leake does such a good job of changing speeds, you just never know what you're going to get. He does a good job of adding and subtracting and very efficient with his pitches today.
Into center, and it's caught there. Heredia hauls it in. And Posey is out. That's 12 in a row now that Leake has set down. Greg Holland wants to know, can we get my brother some runs?
That's right. Yeah, Derek's internally begging for some runs, so he uses his brother as his mouthpiece.
Well,
I like that.
And they both Hollands are aware that his last start, he was brilliant and didn't get any runs and lost to the Rockies, or excuse me, the Cubs by a score of 2-0. Crawford, there's been early contact and a lot of it, and that's why Leake is only at 46 pitches. And he's got 2 outs in the 5th inning.
Well, you go up as a hitter, you're in swing mode because you know he's going to come after you with strikes. The thing that Mike Leake's done a good job with today is he's lived on the corners, and you can call it nibbling, but if you have the ability to sit on the corners with movement, you can get a lot of weak contact and quick outs. He hasn't really made that one mistake that allows the Giants to square up a pitch. As you see right there, 88 down and away. First pitch, you swing at it, you're going to ground out somewhere.
Pablo Sandoval. And Sandoval knocks it foul. What do you see different from Sandoval now? I know last year was kind of the year where he had to get his feet back on the ground coming from Boston, and this year that progress and that return has just continued.
Yeah, I mean, he's still struggling from the right side, but his left-hand bat's been huge. He's been a lot more patient this year. You know, typically in the past, he's gone up in swing mode. He's taken some more walks this year. He's been a little bit more. I mean, his first pitch swing percentage was well over 60% coming into this season, and this year it's at 25%. So, you know, he's taken a lot of first pitches. He's getting deeper into counts, seeing a lot more pitches, and because of it, he's able to have some pretty good at-bats, make the pitcher work a little bit harder than he had in the past, or he used to be a guy to put the ball in play within the first 3 pitches. Now, granted, he could do some damage with those pitches because he could hit anything from his toes to his nose, and that was the thing with him, is that he's got a great ability to put the barrel of the ball.
0-2, and it's lifted in the air to left. Span makes the catch, and Mike Leake has retired now 14 straight Giants. This game already is halfway through. Leake and the Mariners have a 2-0 lead over San Francisco.
This is as efficient as you can get right there.
If you go back to the 2013 Major League Baseball draft, yes, that's a Gonzaga Bulldog cap. Cardinals took him. Only 99 2/3 innings in the minor leagues. That's almost Mike Leake-like. 2016, Marco Gonzalez missed with Tommy John surgery. Big trade for the Mariners in July of 17. And this year, first 8 starts. But look, in his last 12 starts, 8-2 with a 2.39 ERA. And he joins us now. Marco, thanks for joining us. Let's start with your teammate and the work you've seen from Mike Leake today. What have you seen?
Yeah, I mean, you talk about a guy just writing the book on efficiency, filling up the zone, first pitch strikes, and really just going after him, attacking him.
Marco, you struggled early in the year. What do you attribute your turnaround to?
It's mostly been mental adjustments, honestly. Really just kind of focusing on staying aggressive and attacking guys. And the biggest thing is just getting strike one and then going from there, letting my stuff play.
Getting to pitch in the Northwest, the Gonzaga Bulldogs are known for the incredible job that Mark Few has done with college basketball. You enjoyed a really nice career there. You got to swing the bat there as well. What's it like to come back to the Northwest and get to pitch? I'm sure a lot of your Gonzaga buddies are in this area. Yeah, it's been great. I mean, I feel like I've kind of adopted the Northwest as my home, so I feel really comfortable here. Obviously feel comfortable pitching here, and have a lot of family, a lot of friends in the area, and so it's been great so far. Favorite Gonzaga Bulldog basketball player? Do you go old school and back to like a Matt Santangelo or a Blake Stepp or a Dan Dickow, or are you a modern day Zag guy? Probably got to go modern day. I'm probably going to go just because I know him, and I have a really? Take it off. Uh-oh.
Well, I'm not sure what happened there, but
I don't know if that was a teammate or what happened. I'm curious to know who his favorite Gonzaga Bulldog is, but we'll find that out.
Yeah, I wanted to hear that. It's a friend of his, probably more of a modern day guy. We could always guess.
Mike Zunino is the hitter.
I wanted to ask him coming to the American League because he could swing it a little bit. If he missed pitching the National League and having a chance to hit.
You find that with so many guys that in college got to do double duty, got to hit and got to pitch. That when they
All right, we're back.
Oh,
what happened?
You got the early hook, or was that a teammate?
I got a teammate hook.
Ah, that's what we suspected.
Yeah.
So we've been trying to figure out which Gonzaga Bulldog was your guy. Now you can answer it.
All right, let me get in the way here. I'm in the way of everybody. No, I'd have to say favorite guy would probably just because I know him, David Stockton. We've had a good friendship, and he's a great Zag.
That John Stockton's kid?
It is. Isn't he in the G League somewhere?
I think so. I think he is with the Kings. He was with someone else, but he's been bouncing around. Definitely a journeyman for sure.
All right, we have video evidence now to find out which teammate gave you the hook.
I could tell you it's Wade LeBlanc.
It's LeBlanc?
Yeah, it's always him.
Come on, you lefties have got to stick together.
Well, he wanted to get on here, and he said that he voted me to get on, and now he has his fun. So this is how he does it.
Here's a 3-2 pitch to Mike Zunino. You're a good guy to ask this question too, because we talked to your skipper about, even though he just did strike out, Mike Zunino behind the plate. What does he mean to your pitching staff, and especially to you, a young starter?
Yeah, I mean, he means a lot. We love having him back there. He's obviously the leader of our staff. Just the way he handles guys and the way he's been getting to know us. The sequencing that he kind of establishes in mid-game and the adjustments we can make. It's been a huge help to being able to get deep in the ball games, and he just brings that calm confidence. He loves to compete, so we love having him back there.
All right, last question from me. How do you keep your batting swing going in the American League? Do you sneak into the cage? Maybe you and Ichiro go back during the game and take some soft toss or something?
That would be a dream. I would love to get a hitting lesson from Ichi. No, we've taken BP a couple times. We obviously have some interleague games and some more coming up, so I hope to get in there. I missed our last stint in Colorado, but that's not to say that hopefully I won't get some more at-bats down the road too.
Marco, you missed that part of the game, not pitching in the in the National League, not being able to hit on a regular basis.
Yeah,
you can swing it. I remember that.
I think the thing that I miss most is just contributing every day and being able to be on the field every day, playing in the field and being able to compete. And obviously I have a little bit different role now, so I've had to adjust to that. But I miss just being on the field every day and having fun.
Yeah, you tell Wade LeBlanc to leave you alone. Tell him Sean Estes told you that, because I remember him as a young pup in Portland in AAA.
Yeah.
So I can tell you some stories. I probably don't want to. He probably doesn't want me telling you.
This is the internet, but we can't do that.
Yeah. Well, the one thing I'll tell you about Wade is that he never stops and he always has fun, but he'll let you know when you're out of line, I guess.
Marco, thanks for the
visit. Well, you're not out of line. Thanks.
Thanks for the visit, and good luck the rest of the way.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right, Marco Gonzalez, fine young lefty, and he and Wade LeBlanc working things out. Gordon slaps one to short. Crawford, the Gold Glover, is there. And Derek Holland has a nice fifth inning. He's pitched well. Ryan Rowland-Smith returns from the social media suite. Sean Estes getting ready to take his turn with you fans out there as well. MLB At Bat mobile app brings every baseball moment to your favorite devices. You can catch it all season with a free MLB.tv game of the day, live radio broadcasts, in-game highlights, stats, news, and more. You download MLB At Bat today. It's your #1 app for live baseball. And this reminder that MLB.tv is now available at a lower price. $82.99 gives you every out-of-market regular season game live or on demand. Your subscription includes MLB At Bat Premium, allowing you to watch live baseball on your favorite supported devices. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.tv to take advantage of the special offer. Mike Leake, as Ryan Rowland-Smith returns, has been dominant here without a lot of strikeouts. In fact, without a strikeout.
Yeah, but taking advantage of the San Francisco Giants being aggressive early in the count. It's really important for him to have that depth on his pitches. When you look at that cut fastball and that sinker, he goes in and out of lefties and righties, and he just gets underneath these barrels all day long. When he's struggling, he's rushing a little bit. He's got that good tempo, but he has a tendency to rush, and that sinker can flatten out on him really quick. So he's got that good depth on that pitch today, and everything lives off that fastball from Mike Leake. Tell you what, Rich, I'm exhausted after answering questions back there on the comments. A lot of fun, though. A lot of good questions.
All right, what were the best questions you had?
Well, anything to do with Australia is the best question.
I thought you would get Australia.
We talked about some snakes. We talked about baseball in Australia, paddleboarding. Oh, it's great. Yeah, Vegemite. Yeah, it's good times.
Baseball in Australia. You were part of a couple of two World Baseball Classic teams?
3 actually. Well, 2013, 2017 most recent, joining the Aussie team, and so much fun. It's always good to represent the green and gold. Unfortunately, couldn't get through to the second round in Tokyo, but always a great group of guys. Part of the Olympic team, winning a silver medal in 2004. So I've had my share of international baseball. Love it. A lot of fun.
16 years as a professional for Ryan Rowland-Smith. Now, Sean Estes is now chatting. So you Giant fans that are on the conversation, you can lob some questions his way. Pence, Hundley, and Duggar here, backhanded by Segura, and he can't come up with it cleanly. And Pence is aboard, and another ground ball, which should have been a ground ball out, but a little crack in the door here for the Giants, who used every opportunity last night in their win.
Yeah, and Mike Leake, with such good rhythm and tempo right now, I don't think this is going to be a huge factor. See Gene Segura just missing that hop a little bit on that, but Gene Segura's had a lot of good range and sneakily had a good defensive campaign in 2018.
It is an error. The Giants have just one hit, and that was the Allen Hansen single back in the first. Hundley bounced out in the third. And the pitch is outside. It was the throwing error by D. Gordon last night on the Pablo Sandoval infield single. You don't say those words in the same sentence. Pablo Sandoval an infield single very often, but it was a key play last night in getting the Giants a run in the ninth.
Yeah, it really was, and that were the little things like that in the ninth inning where D. Gordon, you could see Ryan Healy motioning towards the plate to make sure he held the ball. D. Gordon decided to try and get the out, but it's the little things that the Seattle Mariners were so good early in the year making those plays, and just recently they just haven't had that same vibe of getting things done.
This is the key play last night. It's a tie game.
Really was, and a good pitch from Edwin Diaz. Unfortunately, just not enough hard contact. I think Ryan Healy, too, motioning towards the plate, threw D. Gordon off. He looked up and saw him. He went towards the plate and just kind of cut his throw off, and ball got away from him.
Hundley going after a 2-0 fastball, and it's 2-1. You could hear in that highlight the Giant fans roaring at that stage of the game.
Yeah, they were taking over last night.
Duggar is on deck. It's the first leadoff man that the Giants have had on. Pence at first. Hundley with a count 2-1. Good power numbers from Hundley this year in reserve. 8 home runs, 7 doubles. And he drives that one into left field for a base hit. Pence, a strong turnaround second, will hold there. And Hundley, just the second hit for the Giants, and he delivers first and second. And now the top of the order with nobody out.
This is a situation Mike Leake, opponent's hitting 299 with runners on. When he's in a good rhythm, we talked about having that depth. But sometimes with runners on, when he rushes a little bit to home plate, he gets underneath or side to side on that baseball, and that sinker starts to flatten out, especially in a 2-1 count in that situation. And he throws a lot of sinkers too behind in the count. Big percentage of sinkers and cutters behind in the count, trying to sneak back into that count. And that's where it can be vulnerable.
Well, Hundley did a nice job of not jumping on an early pitch, waiting for an elevated ball, and then driving it into left field. Now you've got Duggar, who has bounced out twice. The Mariners infield looking for 2. And you've got Gordon, Segura up the middle there. Very good double play combination. Duggar has pretty good speed. Pence at second, Hundley at first. And a 2-0 Seattle lead.
We talk about Mike Leake too with the tempo. This is a situation, infield error and then a base hit. This is a time for him to slow down that tempo a little bit. We talked about it earlier. Maybe taking that walk around the mound, starting to bring that curveball in 0-0 like we just saw then to Duggar, third time to the lineup.
Duggar had 2 hits last night. The bottom of the order where Duggar was last night really produced. He's at the top of the order in this one. He's got Alan Hansen on deck. And if they can keep the inning rolling, Andrew McCutchen in the 3-spot belt hitting cleanup today. Duggar out of Clemson. Clemson Tiger in a really good one.
This is a guy with limited at-bats, 42 of them. The big hits with runners in scoring position, 4 for 10.
Game number 11 in his major league career. He's not homered in the big leagues. He's not a real power guy in the ACC either at Clemson. One of those interesting guys whose numbers in the minor leagues are actually in many regards better than his college numbers, which is a great sign.
Yeah, it really is. Shows that progression, that maturity, able to handle professional pitching, which is a huge step up from college pitching, with the consistency, the velocity, that secondary stuff inside the strike zone.
Time is called. Counts 1-2. Where do you go if you're Leake?
Yeah, that's a big count. This is a situation where he loves to throw that cut fastball, even with 2 strikes to lefties. It's important for Mike Leake to expand the zone a little bit, get Duggar to chase something right here.
And Mike Zunino on his way out to the mound to visit with Leake.
And this automatically slows that tempo down. You'd love to see a ground ball.
The dude.
Yeah.
Right?
What's he doing here?
He's the dude.
How many times has he been called that in his life, you think, with that hairdo, that look? Same shades, right?
1-2 pitch now. Slow tap, right side. Healy a long way from home. Leake the catch, out at first. Leake had to go up for the ball and came down just in front of Duggar. But the Giants do get 2 runners in scoring position for this Alan Hansen at bat.
And that's a great play by Mike Leake. This is not easy to do, especially this far out of spring training. You work on this in spring training all day long. You see Mike Leake, how athletic he is. First of all, going up to get that ball and then finding the bag with that right foot, and also turning around, making sure you're keeping an eye on Hunter Pence down there at third base.
Here's a case that Leake has been feeding his infield ground balls all day. And with one out, a ground ball here gives the Giants at least a run. With the infield back up the middle, Segura's back, Gordon's back, Healy's back at first. Even at third is Seager. And Hansen a big swing and a miss. And this is where Bruce Bochy told us in our pregame meeting, we talked specifically about Hansen, and he loves the fact that he brings pop and he brings power, but sometimes he can overswing in a situation like this where just good solid contact can be productive.
Yeah, and this is typical trait of a rookie hitter, a guy who's so anxious. He can see those runners out in his peripheral vision down at third base and also at second base, just trying to do a little bit too much. And on the flip side of that, this is where Mike Leake can really expose a young hitter. Again, Hansen has done a great job. Runners in scoring position, 361, 36 at-bats, so that's a good sample size. But you can see him already, 0-2 count, expanding the strike zone, knowing that he has that open base.
Leake doesn't have a strikeout, but he's hunting for one here. Infield is still deep. Pence at third, Hundley at second, and Leake steps off. Outfield playing Hansen to pull. Hansen's had some big home runs. Leake buries one out, and it's 1-2.
Yeah, I'll be surprised if Hansen gets a pitch up in the strike zone in this situation. 1-2 count with that open base. Even though he's got McCutchen on deck, he still has to expand that strike zone.
One-two, got him. First strikeout of the day for Mike Leake. And it comes at an enormous time for the Mariners.
It really does, and this could be, I know it's the sixth inning, but this could be the biggest at-bat of the game in this situation. And that's that slider we're talking about, 80 miles per hour. Once he gets to 2 strikes, he's able to expand the zone. That's a nasty pitch, and Hansen missed that by a mile.
Now McCutchen. The outside of the telecast, we talked about McCutchen's year. He lined to center and then bounced to short. The numbers show that McCutchen is swinging the bat well. We talked about hard hit rate, the percentage of balls that are 95 miles an hour off his bat and more. It's at the highest level of his career, which has been a great career. His chase rate is down. His line drive rate is high. And he's, some would feel, hit a lot of hard balls, especially on the ground at people. That pitch comes in. Andrew Baggerly of The Athletic has a column coming up in a day or two just on the metrics of McCutchen, and you would hope, if you're a Giants fan, that those metrics mean a good second half.
Yeah, it's amazing when you see guys who consistently hit the ball hard somewhere and just the results just don't show up. You're going to see Mike Leake, you mentioned that chase rate. He's still going to be extremely careful with McCutchen.
Now Leake being careful, caught the corner. McCutchen didn't like it. It counts 2-1.
This is a guy too, Andrew McCutchen, still runs really well. So that sinker, sometimes it can be, have a look at this pitch. Gets one back there.
It's a break for Leake.
This is a situation that too heavier sinker, that ball's going to be hit hard on the ground, and McCutchen can leg it out.
And McCutchen takes a rip, and it's 2-2. And that call changes the whole at bat. Instead of 3-0 with Belt on deck, it's 2-1, and Leake can instead really attack with a 2-1 pitch.
Yeah, it really does change the entire dynamic of this at bat. Now you're going to see a slider in this situation, down and away. He has to bury this pitch. McCutchen can hit a mistake.
There it is, slider down and away. Now he attacked on 2-1 and got a strike. He tried to get McCutchen to chase. As we pointed out, he's been very good at not doing that this year. And they count full now at 3-2. Belt, who is struggling but nearly hit one out earlier against Leake, is on deck. And another big moment here for Mike Leake. 3-2. Got him. All day long, Mike Leake didn't have a strikeout until he needed it. With runners at second and third, he punches out Hansen, punches out McCutchen, and holds on to a 2-0 lead. Let's head down below to Elise Woodward. Elise?
All right, thanks, Rich. Just coming off the recent All-Star break, and the Mariners did a fantastic job. Not just the PR staff and the marketing crew, the millions of fans that voted for Gene Segura and his teammates. You see this T-shirt right here? Says send Segura. The entire team wore this T-shirt down in LA as part of a campaign in the final vote of Major League Baseball to send Segura to the All-Star game, and it was successful. Not only did the teammates wear the shirts, they had it on Alaska Airlines. They had the placard send Segura, and his teammates signed fans to entice them with signed items to those that voted the most. They would get these items signed by the Mariners. All in all, 13.6 million fans voted for Gene Segura and sent him, and so they changed it from hashtag send Segura on the placard. They need to change it to hashtag sent Segura, as it is now official, as he's an All-Star for the second time and the first Mariner to ever get up there to get voted to the All-Star game with that final vote and that process. We are here on Facebook Watch, and we'd love to have your involvement on social media. As always, you can send us your photos right now. Hashtag MLB Live. We love seeing it. Join the Giants fan group or the Mariners fan group. Oh, look at that. Adorable. We love seeing where you are watching the game and having your involvement here on MLB and Facebook Watch.
And have a Coke and a smile, it looks like. Thank you, Elise. Rich Waltz with you. Ryan Rowland-Smith of the Mariner broadcast team. Sean Estes rejoins us now, Giants broadcaster who was in the social chatting suites. And I believe it was catered, right? So what?
Lots of peanuts.
What were the questions that you had? What was the underlying theme of your appearance?
I didn't get one. Not one question. No. There was a few. Will Hunter Pence be part of the team next year? Will Chris Stratton get a chance to pitch again? Whose number will be retired next? Now that Barry Bonds is getting his number retired.
What was your answer? What was your answer to that?
Buster Posey is my answer.
There you go. It's a great answer.
Because they only retire Hall of Famers or people they think should be in the Hall of Fame.
It's still a pretty long list for the Giants, right? I mean, there's from McCovey to Cepeda to Mays to Perry, all the way back into the New York Giants.
Yep. Yeah, so I figured Buster looking ahead.
Good answer.
Because it's the only guy really that makes sense right now. I mean, Bumgarner possibly.
Segura rifles one foul into the upper deck. What did you think of the sequence by Mike Leake? You've got no strikeouts at all until he really needed it, and boy did he need it. He struck out Hansen, he struck out McCutchen.
Right, he had it in his back pocket. I mean, he was just about getting outs the first 5 innings because he was so efficient, 10 pitches an inning, and then he needed a strikeout. He knew how to get one. Quality pitch on the slider to Hansen, and then 3-2. McCutchen helped him out by swinging at a ball, but everything he throws looks like it's going to be a strike. You know, it's always around the strike zone. So as a hitter, you have to go up there being aggressive. You don't know if that ball is going to sink back over the outside corner, if it's going to cut off the outside corner, and McCutchen obviously thought it might come back over the outside part of the plate, and he waved at it.
Derek Holland has been outstanding for the Giants. He's got Segura 1 and 2. Mitch Haniger, Nelson Cruz to follow here in the bottom of the 6th. That one is pop foul, backing out of play. I've got 2 numbers that should be retired for the Giants this week. Kruk and Kipe.
There you go.
Right?
Yeah.
Mike Krukow.
I don't know what number that would be.
Dwayne Kuiper. Maybe just K and K.
K and K, yeah.
They have been the television team, 2 of the broadcasters for the Giants. John Miller's already in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
But
Have other teams done that with announcers?
Yes. Obviously, there's no number to retire, but they put them in their Hall of Fame or put them in their level of excellence, I think is what the Blue Jays call it. Here's that sequence. I'll let both you left-handers dig into this. This is the sequence for Leake.
Yeah, and this is against McCutcheon. Now, we talked about Hansen the at-bat before, exposing a rookie, ultra-aggressive. McCutcheon a little bit different. He has a little bit more of a less of a chase percentage, but that was the pitch right there, that slider. Then he tried to bury it and then got him swinging at that cut fastball, and that's the pitch that Sean was talking about. You don't quite know if that pitch is going to have that good sinking action back out over the plate. Able to stay away, away, away. It does help too when you have that open base. You can pitch around Andrew McCutcheon a little bit more than what you usually would.
Pablo can still pick it at third base.
Great play by Pablo in the hot corner.
And remember what Bruce Bochy told us today in our meetings this morning. He said, Evan Longoria is coming back this weekend, but we've got to be creative and find at-bats for Pablo Sandoval.
Yeah, and he may be playing some third base, giving Longoria a day or two. He can play first base, but, you know, you have Belt at first. So, you know, right now would have been a perfect time. You know, Belt struggling a little bit. If you have Longoria, Pablo plays some first base to give Belt a breather. Bruce Bochy will find ways for Pablo Sandoval to get in the lineup if he continues to play like he is.
And one other number, our MLB Network production crew, and this comes from the very highest of offices at MLB Network, suggesting Bruce Bochy's number, because Bruce Bochy is going to be in the Hall of Fame with his long career, the 3 World Championships, what he did in San Diego.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a matter of how long he's going to manage, right? I mean, he could manage through the time Buster Posey gets in the Hall of Fame if he wants to. I don't think it'll happen. I don't think he'll stick around that long, but yeah, that's a good point. Think about Boch. But you have to consider that 3 World Championships.
Right, a couple Manager of the Year awards with the Padres. All-time rank, you see Bruce Bochy 11th right now. Everybody else in that group's in the Hall of Fame.
Just tied Stengel. It's pretty impressive.
2-1 pitch is down to Nelson Cruz. If you're just joining us for this ball game, it's been a well-pitched game by both Derek Holland and Mike Leake. And Bruce Bochy, after a really down year for the Giants and anomaly somewhat in his run, 64 wins last year. They're 2 over 500 right now.
See Nelson Cruz having a big swing in that 3-1 pitch. That's been that count for him all year long since coming off the DL. That pitch up in the strike zone, and he is absolutely crushed. At the moment, he's struggling a little bit, and he's timing or whatever it is, he's just a little bit off, missing that fastball up in the strike zone.
And that's where Holland goes on that pitch and misses and loses him.
Well, there's a way to combat that, and that's just don't swing at it, right?
Yeah, there you go.
But guys like Cruz, like we mentioned earlier, I mean, all the home runs he's hit in the last 5 years, whatever, he wants to swing the bat. He wants to put the ball in the ballpark.
92 pitches for Holland. Ray Black, who throws triple digits, is warming up in the bullpen. Active home run leaders, Cruz behind Encarnacion, Cabrera, Beltre, and Pujols.
See Derek Holland with that pitch count. You talk about how lack of outings he's had in the month of July.
Seager launches one, but it's going to be foul, but still fun to watch it land in the highest reaches.
Loud strike.
Yeah. And Derek Holland gone back and forth in the bullpen. That's why it's such a value to have a guy like Derek Holland who can be, do both things, come in and out of this rotation and get you 90-something pitches. Usually a guy coming out of the bullpen or a spot start, it's usually that 70-80 pitch mark, and he still looks good. Velocity's still up, even later in this game.
And I know his brother would agree with this on social media, but you watch his start here against Seattle, and then go back to his last start against the Cubs. He is deserving of getting the ball again.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, Jeff Samardzija hoping to come off the disabled list soon, but until that happens, you got to think Holland is going to get that chance.
Yeah, and Sean, we were talking before the game. You mentioned Derek Holland being a weapon out of the bullpen too.
Yeah, and I think you asked Boch, earlier today where he values him more.
Yeah.
And he almost said that, he loves him out of the bullpen. Obviously doing a job as a starter, but he gives him a different look down in the bullpen, and he can pitch back-to-back days. And like you said, when you need a guy to start, he's the guy to make this start. And if Samardzija comes back, he'll probably be the odd man out again.
Well, he's turned in 6 really nice innings here as he strikes out Seager. He gives up just 2 runs. And Derek Holland and the Giants are headed to the 7th. Down 2-0 here in Seattle. The house that Junior built. The man that saved baseball in the Pacific Northwest. Let's listen and look back at his highlights, his career here in Seattle.
Seattle's selection is George Kenneth Griffey, center fielder from Moeller High School in Ohio.
He was the biggest superstar, one of the greatest players ever played the game of baseball.
Great talent, great bloodlines.
I was here first. You should get senior. I've been around a lot longer. You should get junior.
Goodbye home run! His first swing at the Kingdom!
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Early in my career, I got to watch him hit, and it was one of the most impressive I've ever seen.
Very effortless, very smooth. He was born to do that.
Belted, and I mean belted! A birthday goodbye, baseball!
Great player, great personality.
I think all of us watched All-Star games and home run derbies growing up. I think everybody remembers Ken Griffey Jr. with his hat back where he was just hitting home runs.
He earned a spot on the All-Century team.
The youngest All-Century player, Ken Griffey Jr. There is no doubt in my mind, had he not had all the injuries, he would have been the man that hit the 756th home run.
His statue sits on the corner of Edgar Martinez Drive and Dave Niehaus Way. And he is certainly the guy that really lit the fire when this franchise turned it around in the mid to late 90s. 13 seasons with the Mariners, 417 home runs. Probably, and you heard Dave Niehaus, the late, great Dave Niehaus, say in that piece that injuries were a part of his career, and my guess is that the turf of the Kingdom exacted a pretty big toll. Brandon Belt lines it foul. Now the Giants have the great history of Willie Mays in center field, and many people will wonder who the greatest center fielder in Major League history is. Mays is, if not the top of that discussion, for most.
Well, he may be the greatest player. Then he has to be the greatest center fielder, right?
I would stay. Yes.
I didn't have a chance, obviously, to see him play, but you look at the numbers and the amount of time he played and the All-Star games. I mean, there's nobody even compares to him. But in our era, Junior was the best.
Yeah.
Now, are we watching? That's off of Healy's glove. Gordon picks it up, fires to first, and throws it away, and the ball goes in the dugout. The throwing error last night was key for the Giants' win, and this opens the door with nobody out. Brandon Belt is going to walk down to second. Gordon trying to get Belt, and here's another look.
Yeah, this ball was hit hard, and Ryan Healy unable to come up with it. C.P. Gordon just never had his feet. I know he was on his knees, but never had his balance underneath him to get up and make that play. We've seen him make some really good plays since making that transition back to second base. But lately, just trying to press a little bit, trying to force the action. That would have been a tough play to beat that. You see Brandon Belt.
And this is not good news. Belt, there was a reason he was walking to second, and right now he's having trouble moving. Ron Lotus, the third base coach, Bruce Bochy's on his way out. Giants training staff is there as well. And man, in a season that has been filled with injuries, Belt's getting that right knee looked at.
Could it have happened at first base on the collision between he and Healy? Because he got down to second okay.
Well, that's a good guess, but here's a look.
Yeah, maybe it could have just been a simple misstep, trying to avoid Mike Leake a little bit.
Maybe
Get out of the way.
Maybe a little hyperextension, just kind of jammed it.
It was the right knee that they were looking at second base.
That's the last thing the Giants need right there. Four-hole hitter. Such a solid first half of the season, struggling right now, but you figured at any time he's going to break out and have to go on to get hurt like this. After talking about all the injuries the Giants have had.
Chase d'Arnaud is going to run for him.
Yeah, that could be a big gut punch for the Giants if that's anything serious. For him to need help to walk off the field, you never like to see that.
We will get you a report as soon as we can from the Giants clubhouse. d'Arnaud now the runner at second. Posey, then Crawford, then Sandoval. San Francisco trying to get on the board. That's just the third hit that Leake has allowed. All three have been singles. Posey has bounced out and flied out.
Well, he picked up Segura last inning in the air. Let's see if he can pick up Dee Gordon this inning.
Another look at the bag. That right leg there is planted. He didn't show signs there. He did walk, but yeah, you can see something's bothering him. And once he got to second, it really grabbed at him.
And a delayed reaction.
Posey shoots it to the right side. Gordon knocks it down, picks it up, fires to first. Hard hit, and it serves a purpose. It does move d'Arnaud into scoring position and 90 feet away. He was at second. And now a ground ball from Crawford could give the Giants their first run.
Well, the Giants need to do a better job at this inning. They stranded a runner at third base with one out last inning. They weren't able to deliver the big hit. Now you have one of your guys in Brandon Crawford, your all-star, who's been really good this year in these situations with the chance to put the Giants on the board.
Crawford has a couple of ground ball outs to second. And Leake misses out.
It's another situation where Brandon Crawford may not see a good pitch to hit up in the strike zone. Mike Leake, just like last inning, will pitch around him a little bit, expand that strike zone from first pitch. See a breaking ball to start him off.
Crawford pops it back behind third. Seager after it. Span is in. Dives, and he won't get it. It's off his glove. Crawford on his way to second. Head first dive. He's in with a double. Scoring is d'Arnaud. And San Francisco is on the board. It's 2-1.
Tremendous base running there for Brandon Crawford to get the hit down the line, but then I'll turn it on about halfway through. And that is because he knows Denard Span's arm. He played with him for the last couple of years. He does not have a very strong arm out in left field. He saw who was out there. He took the chance and was able to get into scoring position for the Giants.
And Scott Service is on his way out. There's a look at d'Arnaud. Span made a dive for it and got glove on it. And this is going to be the end of the road for Mike Leake. Now, he's a little like Holland, and he hasn't pitched in the last 10 days. 78 pitches. He's coming out. Pablo Sandoval is the hitter. And Seattle's going to go to their bullpen.
Yeah, Scott Service has been going to his pen very early in games, even with pitch counts. I know there's been the All-Star break, but we've seen this with Scott Service in big jams. He loves to use this bullpen. We talked to him before the game, and Sean, you asked him who is a 7, 8, 9. This is Juan Nicasio, who has had a bit of a roller coaster first half of the season for the Mariners, but has looked really good. That velocity's back up, that good life on his fastball is back there right now. So this is going to be a situation you're going to see Nicasio, then you're going to see Colomé, and then trying to get to Diaz in the ninth.
Things are tightening up here for the Mariners, not only in this game, but also in the wild card race. And here's the big reason why.
The Oakland A's have kicked it into another gear over the past month, winning 20 of their last 26 games. Good for the best mark in all of baseball in that span.
In the pitch is swung on a fly ball right center, and the A's have won it. It'll be a single for Lucroy. That doesn't matter. The A's have won the game.
Oakland has gone from a team that might have a piece or two to trade away at the deadline to right in the mix to add and contend for a wild card spot.
Lucroy's going to win it. and the A's with a 2-out rally in the bottom of the 11th inning are going to walk it off in front of this big crowd tonight here at the Coliseum.
A big part of that has been the back end of their bullpen. Oakland is the only team that is undefeated this season when leading after 7 innings. A perfect 37-0.
2-pitch, here it is. Big chopper. Crawford charges, and he missed it. And the ball game's going to be over. Crawford missed it. Simeon scores, and the A's walk off again.
The A's have done an excellent job. They got a great manager. Bean knows what he's doing. They got a lot of offense, and they got an outside shot of making a postseason.
Boy, ask the Giants. They'll tell you how good Oakland is right now. Oakland took 2 of 3 this weekend. Both of those were extra inning wins. And their last 32 games absolutely rolling. And yesterday was a historic comeback. They were down in that ballgame and scored 11 unanswered runs and beat Texas. They were down 10-2 in the 7th. Canna, Lowry, Biscotti, and then Chris Davis all with homers late. 11 unanswered.
Yeah, they got some magic happening down there in the Bay Area. It's very similar to what we saw with the Mariners early this year. Getting big hits. They're getting some health. They're getting everyone starting to tick over. And a good combination, we talked about this in the pregame, of veteran presence and young athleticism. And all of a sudden, you start to question, will they go out and make moves? And they already have.
Sean, what do we have here in Juan Nicasio?
Well, Brian, what do we have here in Juan Nicasio?
You see those numbers a little bit.
He's got a good fastball.
Yeah.
He pitched last night. Scott Servais said it was as good as he's looked all season long. But he's got a power fastball. Some movement. Yeah, don't let those numbers fool you too. Lately here has been really good. Big reason why the Mariners went out and got Juan Nicasio. They knew who their closer was, Yandy Diaz. But Juan Nicasio is that guy for these kind of situations. Inherited runs scored last year with 3 teams in 2017. Only 5 runs scored of 21 inherited runners. So he's been big at getting out of big situations. But he has had a roller coaster of a year where situations where the velocity has dipped a little bit. That slider has not had the same bite on it. It's going to be a big at-bat for him.
He's out in front 0-2. Sandoval fouls it back. Pablo is 0 for 2. He's flied to left field twice. Those at bats against Mike Leake. Leake is out with a run across and 1 out. Key throwing error by D. Gordon has opened the door for the Giants, and they've walked in with a run. They've got another in scoring position, Brandon Crawford, but they've lost their first baseman, Brandon Belt, what looked like a right knee issue. He is in the clubhouse right now. 0-2 pitch from Nicasio. Got him. A 1-2-3 inning last night against the Giants, and Nicasio strikes out Sandoval. Here comes Pence.
There's that good fastball up in the strike zone. 93 miles per hour. He'll sit anywhere from 92 to 96. He has that good life up in the strike zone. Pablo Sandoval, who's historically really aggressive, is going to chase that pitch. It's the other part of this too with Juan Nicasio and guys. Some of these bullpen pieces, they can go multiple innings and go back-to-back days, even after throwing 2 innings, come back and back it up, get a couple big outs for you.
Yeah, and Juan Nicasio, in my opinion, is a big piece of this bullpen. His effectiveness is huge, you know, down the stretch. You saw, I saw it with Oakland last weekend, and the addition of Familia, they shortened that game to 6 innings with Familia, Trevino, and Trinan. 3 of the best I've seen all year coming out of the bullpen.
Pence gets a piece of fastball.
And if you can do that with the Nicasio, Colomé, and Diaz, you know, you don't rely on your starters as much. They can give you 5-6 quality innings, and then you can go to the bullpen and they can shut them down.
And down the stretch of this trading deadline, you'll see clubs do that. If they can't get a starting pitcher, an impact starting pitcher, plan B is load up the bullpen.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Mariners too. Not so much with Mike Leake, but some of these other younger starters, guys like Marco Gonzalez or even Wade LeBlanc. I know he's in his 30s, but the last couple of years hasn't thrown the volume he has thrown this year. So it's a luxury when you can keep these guys at a good pitch count. When you're talking 75, 85 pitches this time of year, make sure they're fresh in that playoff hunt in September, and then you can shorten that game. It's amazing this game the bullpen has. Teams put so much stock in bullpens. We see that in the playoffs a lot. Different dynamic with the bullpen coming in early in games. Starting pitching has gotten shorter and shorter every single year. Looking around the league, the Yankees picking up Britton, adding to that dominating bullpen.
Pence's bat has shown signs of life over the last week. A home run last night. Good lead by Crawford. Pence a broken bat into right field, and it falls for a hit. Crawford around third. It's dropped in right. Pence isn't stopping. Into second. Safe at second. Game is tied.
Well, that will be reviewed, but good job, a 2-out hitting right there by Hunter Pence. Didn't hit it hard, but got enough wood on it. He's strong enough to muscle that ball into right field and score Brandon Crawford to tie this game up. And then the aggressive base running move to try to get to second base, get into scoring position for Nick Hundley, and a chance to take the lead. Made it easier right there for Crawford with 2 outs, could go on the crack of the bat, didn't have to wait to see if the ball was caught in right field, which allowed him to score.
And there are those breaks when you talk about the Seattle Mariners and the luck and you know, the magic they've had early in the year. You see that ball go off to the right of Mitch Haniger. They're the breaks that they had early on in the year. Keeping that ball in front of him, keeping the runner at third base.
No challenge at second. Pence is there now. Hundley at the plate.
You make a good point. They play so many close games and one-run games. Those little mistakes can make the difference in winning and losing.
And that's one of the questions about the Mariners. A historic combination of record and run differential. Not a good run differential. So many one-run wins and 8-0 in extra innings that many people feel that they just can't keep the pace up.
That's why that bullpen is going to be so important down the stretch. Juan Nicasio, we talked about when he's on, he has that good fastball and that slider. That was a hanging slider to Hunter Pence, and that's where he's fallen into trouble, where he's trying to finish guys off with that good depth on that slider, and that pitch just did not have that break.
That's going to be a single and an E9 when Haniger kicking the ball. Second error this inning and third in the game for Seattle. And a fastball from Nicasio misses out, and neither big hit for the Giants was a thing of beauty. And Crawford's looper down the left field line just out of the reach of the diving span. Pence dumps it in front of Haniger, and even Belt's infield single, and the throw by Gordon.
Yeah, it hasn't been pretty, but effective.
And the 2-1. The fastball is a strike, but you know, for the Giants, the formula has always been outstanding starting pitching, really good bullpen,
good defense,
scratch out some runs, and that's kind of what they did last night, and that's what they've done here today.
And to Sean's point earlier, Brandon Crawford stretching that single into a double. How big of a play is that? The little things, and that's something that the Mariners haven't had that break here in the month of July.
And Pence obviously stretching his hit into an extra base at second. 2-2. Hundley a ground ball. Gordon is there on to first, but San Francisco rises up, puts 2 on the board. 7th inning stretch in Seattle. This was a 2-0 game for the longest time, but no more. A 2-run rally here in the 7th in a 2-2 game. All right, into our broadcast booth. Ryan Rowland-Smith, Sean Estes, Rich Waltz with you. That's one of the unique things about the telecast here on Facebook Watch. There's no commercials, so we get to do fun stuff. This is like it or leave it, so we want your opinions. We want you guys to give a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Let's
Can we give these ones?
Let's
up or down?
Spin the big wheel. What's
Take
our
a
first,
stand, Ryan. Take a stand.
Yeah.
What's our first topic? He said, there it is. All right, a controllable ace will get dealt to a contender before July 31st. Controllable ace. Thumbs up, thumbs down.
I say up, for sure.
Who's that controllable ace?
I don't know, but I'm saying thumbs up.
All right, good. That's a safe answer. All right, next question. Zach Britton, game changer for the Yankees in the East.
When you get thumbs up.
How about a follow-up to that? Nathan Eovaldi, who's dealt to the Red Sox today. Game changer for the Red Sox.
I think so. The way he's throwing the ball this year, absolutely.
All right. I don't know that that was on our list, but I figured I'd drop it in. Giants will add a significant piece at the deadline. And Sean, you would know better than anybody, and that's a thumbs down.
I'm just going to get thumbs up just to disagree with Sean.
Yeah,
let's hear it.
Is it the competitive balance tax? Is it the fact that they've got so much talent that's injured and coming back?
They just don't have any room to add a significant piece under the tax. They don't want to go over the tax. They don't have the guys to trade to get that significant piece. Their minor league system is pretty weak as far as prospect goes. They're not going to get rid of Helio Ramos, their #1 prospect, so no.
Okay. Mariners need another starter to hold off the A's. I would go 2 thumbs up.
Yeah, I'm going 2 thumbs up on that.
2 starters.
Yeah, there you go, too. How about that?
Well, either that or a really good one.
Yeah, it's interesting. And I've said Cole Hamels for the last couple of months. And the reason why, now look, again, he hasn't had a great July, but here's a guy with a track record of health and experience in the playoffs. When you look at that rotation, none of them have had any kind of track record in the playoffs. If you get to that point, you have to have that experience and those horses game 1, game 2, game 3.
Here's the thing that is unique to me about Seattle's year. Here they are. They're in the wild card lead, and Felix Hernandez has been nothing like his normal self. James Paxton has been the reason, and Marco Gonzalez, who we visited with, and the rest of the rotation. LeBlanc has been terrific. Paxton's not off the disabled list yet. He was supposed to start last night, scratched from the start. They feel he'll be ready in 5 days. That's a red flag to me, and I think turns the dial up on the need to get a starting pitcher here.
I agree, too. And look, whether it's an insignificant, just trying to hold him back to make sure he's 100% healthy, if you are a guy like James Paxton, who he's at his best when he has that caveman mentality where it's just letting it eat. When he gets a feel for that mechanics or he's dealing with some little niggly injury, that's when you see the velocity start to dip a little bit, and that's where you start to see that little bit of inconsistency with that breaking ball. If he goes out into this and he has something going on with that back of his or whatever it may be in the back of his mind, that's where he'll start to try and feel his way through this. You don't want to see that from James Paxton.
Brian Healy against Ray Black, who's been quite a story for the Giants. As we expected, Chase Darno is going to stay in the ballgame. He's at third, and that's going to push Pablo Sandoval over to first base. Healy, Span, Zunino, and Black is just absolutely bringing it, and that's his MO, although he misses high, and it's 3-0 to Healy. This is a guy in Black who has battled seemingly every significant type of injury to get here, from Tommy John surgery in high school to a shoulder, a labrum, which is awful for pitchers, and all of a sudden has regained his health and regained triple-digit velocity.
He was ready to retire this winter. He was home farming. He's a farmer. He farms chilies and potatoes, and I mean, he was ready to start earning a living farming.
Is that the secret to throwing 98? Am I doing something wrong here or what?
Yeah, right. I guess so. Yeah, no, but he was playing catch in the winter, and I don't remember who he was playing catch with. He wasn't playing catch to get ready for the season. He was playing catch with someone else, and his arm felt good, and he said, heck, I'm going to give it another shot. So he's been able to stay healthy this year, and he's got a power arm with a wipeout breaking ball. He got to AAA, and he's been healthy this year. He's already at right now his career high in innings pitched.
And you can see what the Giants bullpen has done since the calendar turned to June. That, my friends, is 98 elevated with a little movement and a strikeout of Ryan Healy.
And that was after falling 3-0 in a count to a guy that's a really good fastball hitter and a really good fastball up hitter. Yeah. And he was able to throw 98, 97, 98 by Ryan Healy.
To me, those bullpen numbers are really significant because the Giants have some things that are starting to go well for them. We talked about how much better their defense is in July, how good the bullpen has been since June. And the hope is that health, and you say that knowing we've seen Brandon Belt helped off the field with a leg injury. That ball's pounded foul by Denard Span. For the Giants, the hope is that the health, Evan Longoria comes back. They hope that he's the Evan Longoria they acquired, the guy that he was the last few years. Joe Panik's return, hopefully in a week, should help the offense.
Yeah, and those guys coming back, being productive, it makes the whole team better because the guys that have been playing in their absence have actually done a pretty good job, and now you have depth on the bench when you do get them back.
And that one slips out of the hand of Black.
But their bullpen has been not a surprise. They were pretty bad last year, but it's definitely been a positive for this club and really kept them afloat, in my opinion, just being able to cinch July. there's not one guy that they bring in the game where you're wondering, you know, when you watch this Giant club, can this guy get outs? Can he throw strikes? They're all down there throwing strikes. They come in, they're aggressive in the strike zone. They can pitch to righties and lefties. The lefties can get both right. Will Smith and Tony Watson can get both righties and lefties out. They got a good mix right now going on down in that bullpen. Sam Dyson comes in. He's a sinker ball guy. They can get the double play, the ground ball. You get Ray Black that comes in throwing 98. Reyes Maranta, the rookie, throwing 98, 99. Saw last night the wipeout slider. He'll be a closer one day. They got all the pieces right now. I mean, they have a very solid bullpen moving forward.
Well, last night was Maranta, it was Dyson, it was Watson, and then Smith with scoreless relief of Suarez. That's another long fly ball from Span that's foul. And let's not go any further without recognizing what Derek Holland did here, having thrown 2 2/3 innings in the last 15 days. He goes 6 innings, 2 runs, 1 earned, 3 hits, a walk, and 4 strikeouts.
Yeah, I think the most special part of what Derek Holland did today was the pitch count too, going above 90 pitches. When you're talking about 2 2/3 in the last 15 days, man, it can be tough to be effective, sharp, focused when you're getting 70, 80 pitches into that outing.
Hanson's there on the outfield grass, and he makes the catch.
No, you're right, Ryan. I mean, just to be able to do that and go out and be sharp, you know, and I think a lot of it has to do. He's got a lot of confidence on the mound right now. As soon as he moved to the first base side, it changed everything for him. But he did a great job today. I mean, you look at when he got up to 90 pitches, he was facing the middle Mariner order. He had Haniger, Cruz, and Seager. Segura, Haniger, Cruz, and Seager. I mean, he walked Cruz, but you know he finished those guys off. That's a great way to finish the game. And he finished strong.
Zunino takes a breaking ball out. He's bounced out and struck out.
Talking about the Mariners offense, this is one guy, Mike Zunino, does such a good job with his pitching staff. 3.60 team ERA when he's behind the dish, as opposed to about a 4.5 with everyone else. You'd love to see him get going offensively.
In the air to right, McCutchen looking up into the sun, has it, and Ray Black continues what has been a really nice run by the Giants bullpen. A scoreless 1-2-3 7th. This ball game here in Seattle is headed to the 8th. Giants 2, Mariners 2. Hall of Fame weekend 2018, and many people feel Hall of Fame weekend 2019 will include this man.
That's why Edgar is my hero.
We're talking about a guy who was on just 25% of ballots, and you're thinking he's kind of dead in the water.
What about Edgar Martinez? He's another one of those interesting cases.
I think that there's a chance that Edgar changes a lot of people's minds.
He's gotten a big-time push from a lot of the stats people out there.
One of our most passionate causes is gaining momentum on the Hall of Fame ballot.
And I'm on the Brian Kenny train now. I never was, I am. Edgar Martinez deserves to be in the Hall of Fame.
To the track, to the wall. Goodbye, baseball.
He's in just by looking at the numbers.
He has separated himself from everybody else.
And yes, he belongs in the Hall.
That last voice was Ken Griffey Jr. at his induction, talking about Edgar Martinez and how he belongs in the Hall. What a class here. Chipper Jones, Vladdy, Jim Thome, Trevor Hoffman, Jack Morris, and Alan Trammell. Now Bruce Bochy, the skipper of the Giants, has said that he's going to try everything he can to get to Cooperstown for the induction on Sunday. Trevor Hoffman is a guy, he told us quite candidly, he said, I may still be managing because of what Trevor Hoffman did. Here's the voting progress on Edgar Martinez. Just shy of the 75%, trending upward. And if Chris Russo is on board, he's in 2019.
He can be what it takes.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are on board with this. I think it's about time. It shouldn't be taking this long. When you look at the numbers, I think too, the sabermetrics aspect of this is huge for Edgar too. When you're talking about an era of things like on-base percentage. Look at Edgar's .418 career on-base percentage, hitting .312. 300 plus home runs, .933 OPS. numbers like that, they have to stand out, and that's why you see that trending of the votes go up.
I think he's a guy, certainly, that the new, analytics, and OPS isn't new, but it's becoming much more in the currency of a player's value. I think that's in Edgar's favor. I think he belongs there, and I think 2019 will be his season.
I think everybody gets giddy about the home runs and the RBIs when it comes to Hall of Fame, and those are obviously a bit short. But all the other peripheral numbers, I mean, I was looking at, he's got a 312 average lifetime, 418 on base, 515 slugging percentage. With guys with at least 7,000 plate appearances in his career, there's only one guy that's matched that, Ted Williams.
There you go.
I mean, what else do you, and if you look at WAR, WAR's the big number nowadays. He had a 65.5 WAR, better than Tony Gwynn. So, I mean, I think the numbers speak for themselves.
And that one argument about the fact he was a DH, first of all, he'd play little third base to begin his career. I get it, he's a DH, but I think David Ortiz, the presence of David Ortiz, the impact he's made on the game, and his career and his legacy once he's done with the game, I think that helps and benefits Edgar Martinez as well.
Alex Colomé is in the ball game out of Seattle's bullpen. Stephen Duggar, Alex Hansen, Andrew McCutchen, Giants here in the 8th in a 2-2 ball game. Duggar in this one is 0 for 3 ground outs, but he's got a lot of company. Mike Leake sprayed ground balls all over this yard in his 6 1/3. Juan Nicasio got the last 2 outs of the 7th. Duggar fouls it back to the screen.
See Alex Colomé, 3.86 ERA, 42 innings pitched. That's combined between here in Tampa Bay. Big move a couple months ago, him and Denard Span coming over to fill that void. That's what we're talking about, bridging that gap, shortening the game. Juan Nicasio coming out last inning, and this guy Colomé setting up Edwin Diaz in the 9th.
Colomé, an accomplished closer himself. You can never have enough closers in your bullpen, because obviously in this day and age, especially when you get in tight games, meaningful games, managers treat the 7th as a save opportunity, the 8th as a save opportunity, the 9th as a save opportunity.
Look at the playoffs too. The last couple of years, you started to see the closers coming in big situations. Obviously, you can't do that during the season, but it just puts that extra emphasis.
Duggar into right field, and that's a base hit. And the Giants, who were so quiet offensively into the 7th, had 3 hits in the 7th. They opened the 8th, and you got Hansen, McCutchen, and Darno.
Well, they finally got someone to throw in the hitting speed. Mike Leake was throwing under the hitting speed all day. Now you get a young guy up there, gets in a fastball count. Fastball middle in, he doesn't miss it. He was waiting for it, did a nice job of driving it out to right field. Now you got some speed on the bases you have to worry about if you're Colomé. Duggar can run.
Hansen has power. He's 1 for 3. He singled, flied out, and struck out. We saw Edwin Diaz in that shot. He is the Mariners closer. He got the loss last night because he came into a tie game, pitched the 9th. It was an unearned run, but the winning run nonetheless.
Well, you're wondering maybe right now why isn't Hansen bunting? Bruce Bochy doesn't like to bunt very often. He likes guys to swing the bat, especially. He's seen what Hansen can do. He's got a little bit of power. He may put it back on, but he's let these guys swing. He's also going to keep got that hole open between first and second. With Duggar on first base. He's going to give him a shot to get a base hit right here, maybe to the right side.
This is a terrific atmosphere for a crucial game for both of these teams. Interleague play, 45,548 in the house. A great contingent of Giant fans and anxious Mariner fans who are hoping that their ball club, their hometown team, can break the longest postseason drought going in North American professional sports.
45,000 on a Wednesday afternoon.
That's pretty impressive, yeah. Ryan, has Colomé had issues with command at times this year since you've seen him?
Yeah, a little bit, in and out. He's had streaks there where it's more so his secondary stuff. His fastball command's been really good. We know about that really good slider he has outside the strike zone, but I think for him the challenge is mixing that pitch inside the strike zone early in counts.
Hansen fights off a high fastball. Seager gives chase. Now, it's never good to show up on a list with the Browns, right? 15 years for the Browns.
Or the Kings.
Or the Marlins, for that matter. The Marlins
want to be above them.
Marlins won a world championship. Not on this list. You want to be below them. Marlins won a world championship in '03. They haven't been to the postseason since. The Kings, 12 years since they've been in the NBA playoffs. The Padres have been 11 years out. And Scott Servais told us today, all the talk about trade deadline, Cano coming back. He said anything we do this year is all about 2018. It's all about getting to the postseason this year, not next year. Slowly hit. Segura shovels, and Gordon gets the out. Hansen has good speed, and he's at first, and here comes McCutchen.
Nice job by Segura there, Ryan. He had to make the quick transfer, knowing that Duggar had speed, knowing that there's speed running down first baseline, wanting to get the lead out, was able to make a quick transfer to D. Gordon second base.
That's a tough play too, because your peripheral vision, you really have to judge if you have enough time to get that out, because if you don't get that out at second base, that play is completely lost. So good play there for Gene Segura.
Now, you said Bruce Bochy doesn't like to bunt. He didn't. But Hansen can steal a base at first base. So I know the discussion and it goes on for the Facebook watch. Oftentimes it's strategy-wise. Do you want to steal here? Do you not want to run? Colomé is the second out of the bullpen. Hansen is 5 of 6 in stolen bases.
I always felt, though, Rich, that, you know, if you're a guy with speed in that situation in a 2-2 ball game, you may not get the bunt, but why not make that part of your game? Well,
Absolutely.
Take the bunt down. You may get a base hit. Maybe try to bunt for a base hit down the first baseline. Take it with you. At least you're going to get the runner to second.
McCutchen, center field, well hit. Heredia is there, and he makes a catch. And that's exactly what we've talked about all day with McCutchen. His hard hit rate as of a few days ago was 5th in the National League, highest in his career. And he smacks that one right on the nose to center. He lined out earlier in the day. He's 0 for 4.
And you talk about the bunt too, the sack bunt. That's a situation right there where, it changes defenses as well. I think it's a lost art. The sack bunt, stealing bags. You see D. Gordon league leading, but that's way lower than what you saw 5 or 10 years ago. I think obviously there's not that premium on playing small ball, bunting, stealing bags, but I feel like it's just that lost art, because in situations like this, it's 2-2. The Seattle Mariners haven't scored since the second inning. I think there's a premium on getting those guys into scoring position.
Yeah, it seems obvious from our standpoint, but it just isn't the case anymore.
Chase Darno fouls it back to the screen.
When was the last time you saw a pitch out?
Yeah.
Nobody pitches out anymore because no one steals.
And to go a little bit deeper, Colomé, you talk about his up and down year, especially with that command. With 2 outs, opponents have hit 300, so he has really struggled finishing innings off. So another situation where you can see a guy in scoring position. One little base hit down the right field line, whatever it may be, run scores.
You get 2 shots at getting a run in from second base, and we've seen the Giants how they've scored today. It hasn't been hard hit balls. It's been some bloops, some broken bat singles. I mean, anything can happen if you get a runner in scoring position.
Now, Chase Darno has had a nice run with the Giants. Made the AAA Pacific Coast League All-Star team, but was called up and has produced some big moments and some hits.
Yeah, they really like him. Great defensively, has some speed, can play short, third, second.
He is the older brother of Travis Darno, the catcher.
Yeah, they liked him in spring training. They just didn't have a spot for him. Not to beat a dead horse, but in regard to the sack bunt.
It's 1-2.
Yeah, but I mean, just in that situation, you're thinking Mariners have the last at bat too. And they just played the A's in Oakland, and they beat them twice on last at bats.
Yeah.
Why not give yourself a chance to get the lead and get to your, the guys in the bullpen that can close the game out? I don't know. We go through it all. We talk about it all the time. Doing the pre and post game. So you play armchair manager, quarterback, whatever you want to call it. What the manager should do, but nowadays it's just with so many guys hitting home runs, and Boch has never been a big bunt guy anyway. He likes his guys to swing the bat. He tries to play for the crooked number inning all the time. But that to me is a situation where get Duggar to second base, you got speed at second base, and he can score on base hit.
Runner on the move and a swing and a miss. And Colomé dispatches the Giants in the 8th. That leadoff single for the Giants is wiped out. And the ball game stays at 2-2, headed to the bottom of the 8th. The Giants tomorrow night, this should be a fun series. Brewers, speaking of home runs, the Brewers are all about that. It's the Giants and the Brewers. It's a 4-game homestand for the Giants, and it's tomorrow night in the city. Go to sfgiants.com to see Crawford, Posey, McCutchen in action. The Mariners go to Anaheim to see the Angels this weekend. They come back on Monday for a 7-game homestand against the Astros and the Blue Jays. Mariners.com is the home for the tickets. There's the great entrance to Safeco Field here in Seattle, where we have been all day for a tight ball game. Giants and Mariners 2-2. It's been not a great 24 hours for the Mariners defense. Remember, the error last night helped the Giants to that 1-run win, and this was today. That's the play that Belt was hurt on. That opened the door. Span on a dive. It turned into a double for Crawford and a run for the Giants. And then Hunter Pence into right. Haniger probably didn't have a play. Crawford was running with 2 outs. And then Pence hustled in and got to second base.
Yeah, you see a lot of the damage done from a couple defensive mishaps. The situation, you see Denard's man diving for that ball. You really have no choice in that situation. You have to try and make that play, especially hold that runner at third base. And the other part of that, D. Gordon, I think just pressing a little bit, trying to force the action. We saw that last night. And then Mitch Haniger with the ball out to right field. So it's amazing those little breaks, what they do.
This just in, the official score has changed the Pence ball from single and an error to a double. So Pence gets a double, take away an error for Mitch Haniger. Any way you shake it, it's 2-2. The Mariners have just 3 hits, and in the bottom of the 8th, they will face yet another good arm out of the Giants bullpen, Tony Watson. 6 innings of Derek Holland, an inning of Ray Black. Now Watson gets the 8th. And Guillermo Heredia takes outside.
Tony Watson, who's been really good at, from the start this year, been probably the most valuable piece down in the bullpen. Comes in, can get lefties, righties out. He's closed before, so he's considered being a closer after Hunter Strickland went down. But Bruce Bochy likes the flexibility that he gives him, being able to come and pitch in the 8th inning. But lately, he struggled a little bit. Opponents are 7 for the last 17 off of him with 2 home runs. So he was used a lot in the first half of the season, so maybe he's starting to show some of that wear of being used so much the first half.
Was able to navigate a 1-2-3 inning last night.
And this is something he hasn't done all year, is come in and not thrown strikes. He's a strike thrower. He pounds the strike zone with fastballs and sliders.
Heredia takes a strike. Sam Dyson is up in the Giants bullpen as well.
It's interesting to see the sequence so far. I'm sure the scouting report on Heredia is don't throw him fastballs.
And that one was a fastball, and it was up and it was in.
He started him off with 3 straight changeups. That's not Tony Watson's game.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Back to our discussion about bunt or no bunt. Now you've got a guy who has blazing speed and is one of the best bunters in the game in D. Gordon.
I was just about to say before this inning started, this is a situation if Heredia can reach, and how big of a premium it has been just getting that 1 run, scratching and clawing to get ahead in this game. Probably may see a bunt right here.
Well, the goal is to get it to Diaz with the lead, right?
That's right.
And you could do that right here. If you execute a bunt, and you got a guy hitting 320 coming up.
D. Gordon, you made this point that he kind of Ichiro'd the ball.
Yeah, and this is a guy he worked out with in the All-Star break, and he said Ichiro really helped him out with a couple of different parts of his swing. He had been struggling into July, and he's had a really good July.
Bunts it here, got to hurry to get him at first. And they don't. Sandoval says, take a look at the replay. That's the danger with Gordon in a sacrifice spot. You take your time fielding the bunt and you forget he's one of the fastest men in the game.
And Sean can back you up on this. When you're a lefty bouncing off that mound, you turn your back to the hitter, and a guy like D. Gordon, you know you have to rush, set your feet, and that's what happens. Taking, looks like he kept his foot on the bag just long enough. We're going to take another look at this.
And it's going to be a challenge here and a review, and it looks like the ball is in the glove before the foot hits.
Looks like he got him, but I've seen worse not be overturned. So I'm not going to try to predict this one. But it looks like he got him. But last inning, I mean, it's the same scenario the Giants had, almost identical.
Yeah.
Speed and speed.
In the middle of your order coming up.
Right, and see what the speed, the pressure it puts on the defense right there. And Tony Watson really didn't rush, which I thought he should have probably rushed a little bit more than he did.
He's out.
He got him out.
But still, even with the out, in that situation, D. Gordon's still getting the job done, and how big that is. You see Tony Watson struggling with this command. He had to throw a strike. You see Bruce Bochy out to get it.
Yeah, once the ball enters that interior see the foot of Gordon, the ball's in, and Gordon's foot comes down. So it's a sacrifice bunt for D. Gordon, his 8th already of the season. Bruce Bochy doesn't want Watson to face Segura and Haniger or even Cruz. And so
Sam Dyson,
the man with that heavy sinker, Sam Dyson, comes out of the Giants bullpen. And we were documenting last night and Suarez in his 5 2/3 and how the bullpen was very good after that. Maranta, then Dyson for an inning, then Watson for an inning, and then Will Smith for the save. So we've seen already in this one a couple arms, Ray Black and Tony Watson, and now we're going to get Sam Dyson. And this is, I know it's late July, gentlemen, but this has the feel of a late September game. You've got 45,000 here. You've got a great representation of Giant fans. You've got a fan base here in Seattle starving for the postseason with the pressure of Oakland building daily, it seems. Oakland's just a game and a half back in the wild card. And the way this game has been played and the way it has transpired, even last night's ball game, it feels like the postseason's on the line.
Yeah, it really does. And just the energy in this place. Obviously, the Giants have kind of taken over a little bit. You hear the Let's Go Giants. It sounds like anytime the Yankees or the Red Sox come into town. But, you know, this is what it's all about. Again, packed house here on a Wednesday afternoon. You said it too in Seattle. When it starts to warm up here, the crowds start getting good. You start hearing that different volume in this place. And they got something right now to root for with the Seattle Mariners, how good they've been, and hopefully they can hang on to September.
Yeah, the Giants travel well, Ryan. I mean, every ballpark you go to, there's fans. But being so close to San Francisco, I flew up here yesterday from San Francisco, and half the plane was wearing Giants gear.
Yeah.
They were coming up for the game. They love their Giants. And what a beautiful setting that they could come visit in Seattle, and you know, a good Seattle team. So you knew it was going to be a good 2-game series, probably a closely played 2-game series. You know, and that's what we're seeing. One-run game last night, tie game going into the bottom of the 8th today.
And I would think that not only the black and orange back in the Bay Area are tuned in watching this, there's probably a lot of Kelly Green and gold watching this, right? Oakland Athletic fans are hopeful that the Giants can win this ball game. That's an odd thing to say with the rivalry in the Bay Area, but they'd love to see the Giants win this ball game and get Oakland even closer. Dyson now against Segura, who's lined out, has a sac fly, and is bounced out up the middle into center field. That's a hit. Duggar has it. Heredia around third. The throw's off line, and it goes all the way to the screen. Dyson wasn't backing up anything. And Segura ends up at second. Seattle's got the lead.
Gene Segura able to handle fastballs so well. This is a big velocity fastball. Just that bat puff able to put good contact, put that ball in play, and they take the lead. And again, it goes back to that point of making that bunt. We don't see that lost art of bunting, but how huge from D. Gordon laying that bunt down and getting ready in scoring position.
You see right here, Sam Dyson gets a lot of outs on his sinker, gets a lot of ground balls with it, but Gene Segura does such a good job of staying up the middle of the field, not trying to pull the sinker, but staying up the middle of the field. And it's the biggest part of the infield right there, obviously, with the defense playing him straight up, was able to get the ball through and get the run, and then compounded with that, didn't back up home, allowing Segura to get to second base.
The air is going to go to Duggar in center. Haniger takes one high and tight. He's 0 for 3. Neither team has lit it up. Giants have just 6 hits. Seattle has just 4. And right now Dyson, that one tailing in, and he's 2-0 to Haniger.
The energy inside that dugout. We've talked about this all year from the Seattle Mariners, having big moments late in games. They've scored a ton late in ball games, and now they get a chance right now. The energy has changed, the momentum has shifted, and then they got that guy, Eddie Diaz, in the 9th inning.
Jam shot right field, not too deep. McCutchen diving, makes the catch, and that's going to be a double play. Terrific catch, laying out. McCutchen, who made a handful of those plays in the Oakland series this weekend, sells out. Segura was running, didn't think he was going to get there, and it turns into a terrific double play. McCutchen to Crawford.
Yeah, nice play by McCutchen coming in, and like you mentioned, he made some great plays against Oakland, saved some runs there as well. Does a great job of coming in on the baseball. Segura taking a risk right there and trying to run with 1 out.
And so it's on to the 9th now, and Edwin Diaz trots in for the Mariners. He was an all-star, but of course he didn't have a great all-star game. He gave up the lead and may have cost his shortstop the MVP trophy in the process. But now he walks into this ball game with a chance to close it. Seattle trying to continue that trend of 1-run wins. They've done that better than anybody in 1-run games this year. 26 and 12. Almost half of their wins have been 1-run wins. And Diaz is the king of the 1-run save.
And a big part of that too is having a guy like this, Eddie Diaz, who has just come on after last year, taking over that closer's role. Take a look at Eddie Diaz 2018 strikeout breakdown. He's had 82 strikeouts. That's second among all relievers. You check this out. Fastballs up in the strike zone. You see that heat map up and into righties, up and away to lefties, and that slider has been devastating. The one pitch for him, which was inconsistent a little bit in 2017, was that slider. But this year, he has been able to make those quick adjustments. And when you throw an upper 90s with that kind of deception, it is awfully tough to lay off that pitch.
He's on record-setting pace. He is chasing K-Rod in terms of the season record. 62 saves. That was back in 2008. If he keeps this up, and if the Mariners keep playing 1-run games, he's going to get that opportunity.
Yeah, and the one concern from Eddie Diaz was he throwing too much in April and May? This is a young pitcher who's still trying to figure out what his threshold is, but again, he has just been responding, pitching back-to-back days, and still that upper 90s fastball and that filthy slider.
I'm sure Scott Service would like to see him get that record, but he also probably like to see some more blowout wins.
Yeah,
it's better for the ticker. You know, a lot of close games like that.
Well, he gets 4 veteran bats, 3 to begin with, 4 if the inning progresses. Posey, Crawford, Sandoval, and if anybody reaches, Hunter Pence. Posey is 0 for 3.
How deceptive that fastball is from Eddie Diaz. Really, the only chance you have is if you can eliminate pitches. If he cannot command that fastball or that slider, then you can start eliminating. In a situation like this, he's already got Buster Posey 0-2. If he can show that good slider, even inside the strike zone, they're in big trouble.
Posey trying to eliminate the glare with the sunglasses, and he swings and misses, and his bat goes flying. And Diaz.
Is that the slider, Ryan? Because it looked like a split.
In 3 pitches, strikes out Posey.
And Sean, you mentioned that it does look like a split because it has that depth, and even the bat wanted nothing to do with that pitch. Straight back into the dugout. It's going to be tough too if this is the first time you're seeing Edwin Diaz in a regular season game.
You got to gear up for the 97-98, and he drops that pitch on you, forget about it.
Mike, our camera operator, thankfully is checked out okay.
And he has that funk too. You can see his front side with the glove and that landing leg. A lot of movement, a lot of moving pieces coming at you from Edwin Diaz.
1-0 to Crawford. There's 96.
And that's middle of the plate right there. You can see how Brandon Crawford missing that pitch by 2 feet. A lot of that has to do with that deception as well, that funk in that delivery.
Yeah, also as you're going to throw the glove at you before he throws the ball. You got couple things coming at you.
1-1, cut on and fouled. That's 98. 6 pitches. There's 1 and 2 on Crawford. Sandoval's on deck. The Giants last night got a run in the 9th and beat the Mariners 4-3. Seattle, who has played 2 seasons worth of 1-run games, is in one again today.
Yeah, we talked about in the open about some of the guys in this Giant lineup that need to step up who have been struggling. Well, Brandon Crawford's one of those. This would be a good time for that.
That's right. Kenya's correct. On to Anaheim. 3-game weekend series for Seattle against the Angels. Giants home tomorrow night in San Francisco to face Milwaukee. Crawford takes out. And it's 3 and 2.
Little changeup right there, Ryan. Something moving away. Does he have the changeup to throw to left-handers?
He does. He can show that pitch a little bit, especially the lefties, but he's usually a fastball slider guy. You see Mike's in there just saying, hey, calm down a little bit, be around the strike zone, you're going to be in good shape.
Crawford gets a piece at 97.
And you see Brandon Crawford, veteran hitter, starting to catch up to that fastball a little bit because of the inconsistency with the slider in this at-bat.
Yeah, he can eliminate that slider because he hadn't had a feel for it in this at-bat, although he threw a pretty good one to Buster.
Yeah.
But you don't want to mess around too many times over the meat of the plate with Brandon Crawford. If he's able to time that fastball, he can do some damage with it.
Got him.
Good slider right there.
That's that pitch going back to it. Setting him up right here, and you see Brandon Crawford slowly starting to catch up to Edwin Diaz when you're talking about his stuff. Slowly starting to get a good look, and then he snaps that slider off, and you've got no chance.
Reminder, this copyrighted telecast presented by the authority of the Commissioner of Baseball may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. Accounts, descriptions of the game may not be disseminated without the express written consent. Terrific crowd, lots of tension, important game, down to the last outs. Sandoval takes a strike. Over 45,000 here in Seattle. Good number of Giant fans. And of course, the Seattle and Northwest area hoping the Mariners have enough in them for the next 2+ months to get to the postseason for the first time since 2001.
And Diaz 1 pitch away, Sandoval, free swinger. See if he buries that slider right here.
Is he going to bury the slider or go up the ladder right here? You can go either one.
The ladder.
That's way up the ladder.
I think the
Counts
thing
1 and 2.
A lot of pitchers fear about Pablo Sandoval is they remember that he can get on that front foot and still keep the barrel or still keep the bat in the zone, especially on balls down in the strike zone. So if he hangs the slider right here, if he leaves it in the bottom part of the zone, Sandoval can still do some damage with it.
Got him! Diaz shuts the door. Another 1-run win for Seattle. And the Mariners and the Giants split the short 2-game series. A 1-run win for the Giants last night. A 1-run win here for Edwin Diaz and the Mariners. 27 and 13 in 1-run games. Pablo Sandoval, Brandon Crawford, Buster Posey. Diaz strikes out the side here in the 9th. And that's a trio of hitters that have pretty good resumes.
Yeah, it really is. And I think the difference in this game, and Sean and I spoke about it a lot, is lost art of the bunt. Who could get that one run late in the game? The Mariners finally pulled some of the magic that they had early in this season back out and were able to go ahead in this game. And then it all came down to Edwin Diaz in the 9th inning.
Yeah, if you're the Giants, you don't want to be in that position. You don't want to be down by 1 run with Diaz coming to the game. As good as he's been, it doesn't matter who's at the plate. He's got the pitches and the repertoire to get guys out. You don't look back, the Giants did a nice job in the 7th inning and coming back and tying the ball game, and it felt like the momentum was on their side. And then the 8th inning, you get the leadoff hitter up and Duggar, then you're thinking get him in scoring position. Well, they let Hansen swing away. He gets stranded at first base. The next inning, Mariners have the same scenario. They bunt, they win the game because of it.
Weren't a lot of hits in this ball game. 2 of them, though, including a big one, belonged to Ryan Healy, who's down with our Elise Woodward. Elise?
Thank you, Rich. Yeah, multi-hit game for you, Ryan. Great day to be out here. The Mariners with a 1-run game and a run-1 win, which is your specialty this season. What is it about this team and the energy that you guys have been so successful with these 1-run games?
I just think we're confident. I think we're confident in those tight situations. You know, we know someone's going to come through for us. You know, manufacturing a run for us in the bottom of the 8th. You know, big walk right there, leading off. You know, D getting the guy over and Segura driving him in. Just a really, really lethal combination.
This has been a huge series for you at home. You're 6 for 10 with 3 home runs and playing really well right now. What is it about your bat that has been able to heat up lately, Ryan?
Just swinging the good pitches, getting myself on the good counts, and you know, trying to capitalize on the mistakes. So, you know, do a better job of that lately. I want to continue doing so.
I think all of Seattle right now is looking at Oakland. How about you in the clubhouse? Are you guys, you're in the midst of what could be a playoff run for the first time in a long time. Tell me about what you guys are saying amongst yourselves.
There's a lot of excitement around baseball right now. I don't really care who's behind us, who's in front of us. We're really worried about us right now. We're worried about coming to the ballpark, ready to win the game every single day and prepared to do so.
How would you describe being a part of this team right now?
A lot of fun, a lot of energy.
A lot of fun, a lot of energy, and in front of a packed house today. Congratulations. Great game for you, Ryan.
Thank you very much.
That's Ryan Healy. We'll send it back up to you.
All right, thank you, Elise. Ryan Healy, who was hot this weekend, certainly the 2 3-run homers to beat the White Sox on Sunday, and a home run here on a pitcher's day. Derek Holland was outstanding. Mike Leake was terrific. So were the 2 lefties in the booth here on Facebook Watch, Sean Estes and Ryan Roland Smith. And a great crowd here. Over 45,000 for an afternoon game. Gentlemen, nice job. A lot of fun.
Thank you. Yeah, had a good time. Nice job to you as well.
All right. A split for the Giants and the Mariners. Next Wednesday, Indians at Twins. 1 Eastern, 10 Pacific, only on Facebook Watch. This was a big game. It's a split of the 2. And the Mariners now 61 and 41. 3-2 the final. For Ryan Roland Smith, Sean Estes, I'm Rich Waltz. Goodbye from Seattle.